Hey, ever since we were kids, we've all known and loved bikes. And let's face it, most of us can ride one with our eyes closed. So, why tinker with a classic? Well, sometimes reinventing the wheel can make for a way more comfortable ride. Check this out. Bikes can have caterpillar wheels. Yeah, it looks a bit funky, but it's actually pretty chill to ride. And bikes don't just vary in shape, they can also be made from some surprising materials. Take bamboo, for instance. Not your typical bike material, right? This cool idea kicked off as a charitable project in Ghana and has since evolved into the brand My Boo. These bikes are handcrafted in Ghana and get their finishing touches in Germany. Plus, they've got Hakuna Matata written on them, which means no worries. Perfect for a laid-back cruise. It's not just regular bikes that get these upgrades. Motorbikes can too. Check out the B-Ride. This motorbike has a versatile 4-season track designed to handle all kinds of terrain and weather conditions. For snowy terrains, there's a specialized track that offers better grip and load-bearing capacity, boosting performance in tough environments. In 1930, John Archibald Purvis introduced his latest patent, a unique vehicle called the Dynasphere. Now, at first glance, you might mistake it for a tire with a very unusual design, covered in square-shaped holes that create a peculiar pattern. But take a closer look, and you'll spot a person inside the wheel. That's the inventor himself taking his creation for a spin. Now, initially, John Archibald developed two prototypes, a smaller electric version and another powered by a gasoline engine. The gasoline model boosted either 2.5 or 6 horsepower and could reach top speeds of 25 to 30 miles per hour. This prototype stood 10 feet tall, was made of iron latticework, and weighed around 1,000 pounds. The next version featured 10 outer hoops covered with a leather lining, designed to minimize ground contact. The driver's seat and motor were combined into one unit, mounted on wheels that ran along the interior rails of the outer hoop. When powered forward, this unit would attempt to climb the spherical rails, causing the lattice cage to roll forward. Steering was pretty basic, yet hard. The driver had to lean in the desired direction. Now, fun fact, John Archibald had a historical co-author for his invention, none other than Leonardo da Vinci himself. Okay, they didn't exactly collaborate, but John Archibald drew inspiration from Leonardo's works. The invention is almost 100 years old, and you probably guessed it wasn't a huge success. You don't see them on the streets after all. Did it work? Yes, it did move along just fine, but with a slight catch. It was almost impossible to brake. Yeah, I can see where that would be somewhat limiting. So John Archibald's huge tire-like vehicle didn't work out. 30 years later, in the 1960s, the tire company Goodyear had a brilliant but somewhat wacky idea. Why not create tires that light up? These tires were made from a single piece of synthetic rubber and featured bulbs inside the wheel, making the entire tire glow brightly. The plan was to offer a variety of colors, and while these tires looked stunning in the dark, they didn't perform well in wet conditions. Plus, they had a nasty habit of melting under heavy braking, which isn't exactly safe. So the idea was eventually shelved. Now, if you spot someone wearing what looks like a giant diaper on their head, say at an airport, hold on snapping a sneaky pic to share with your friends for a laugh. The chances are that weirdo is actually pretty content because they're sporting something proudly called an original napping pillow. This thing is designed to block out light with 2 holes on the top for your hands if you want to catch some Z's at a desk. It cushions your head while letting you breathe easily, hence the cut in the nose and the mouth area. Now, I can't decide if it looks more like a bizarre medieval mask or a costume straight out of a heavy metal concert. But let's talk practicality. At 17.7 inches tall, it may not be exactly the most compact item to bring on a plane for a short flight, though it can be a lifesaver for a super long-haul transatlantic journey. Hey, I'm not done showing you the weird stuff you can wear on your head. Check this out. It's a head crane. Instead of pouring your cereal into a bowl like a normal person, you can use this milk-powered hydraulic crane device. The arms are operated by syringes filled with milk, mimicking the hydraulics of large industrial diggers. Just push and pull the plungers to move the arms and shovel cereal from the box to your bowl. The grand finale? press down the white plunger to squirt the milk into the bowl, and yippee! Breakfast is served. Alright, you might not be sold on that crane gadget, but I've got something you'll love. The Rion Pocket, Japan's must-have summer device. It's like having an AC unit attached to your body. This wearable air conditioner goes around your neck and under your clothes, using sensors to detect your physical activity and adjust the cooling level automatically. This keeps you comfortable and saves battery life. Now, the idea for this innovation came 35 years ago, when a Sony engineer was on vacation in Southeast Asia. There were many factors he noticed, and all of them, summed up together, led to the concept of individual cooling systems like fan jackets. In 2004, the first fan jackets were launched. Though initially not very comfortable with quick battery drain and frequent malfunctions, these jackets have seen a resurgence in popularity this year, especially among outdoor workers. The new digitally controlled jackets feature 2 electric fans around the lower back, creating a personal microenvironment with a gentle breeze to keep wearers cool. Ever thought about how much more you could get done without the constant distraction of social media? Well, that's the idea behind the Ampere Traction Timer. Here's how it works. You place your phone in a special box, which then blocks access to the device. You set the duration for your tech-free time, and once the timer is up, you can access your phone again. The developers believe this smart timer can boost concentration and make a great gift for anyone struggling with phone addiction. It's all about encouraging users to achieve deeper focus as part of their daily routine. Or, hey, maybe try some self-control. It's free. Here's a fun indie project for you. A guy invented shoes that let him walk on water. Inspired by Leonardo da Vinci, these shoes allow you to stroll on water and cruise beneath the surface. They're powered by large electrical motors and propellers attached to the user's legs. While they might remind you of a jet ski, they're more compact, making them a unique invention on their own. With some practice, you can even jump out of the water and glide along the surface. By the way, this guy wasn't the only one who attempted such an invention. Meet Dwarka Prasad, who's come up with a clever way to walk on water using giant specially designed shoes filled with thermocol. These shoes are fitted to each foot and come with thermocol-filled oars for added buoyancy. The lightweight thermocol provides just the right amount of float. The water shoes consist of 2 floats bonded to a Rexine sheet, all attached to metal straps with back foot support. They're also tied together to keep them from drifting too far apart, making them easier to control. In India, there aren't many alternatives for crossing water bodies other than boats. Ambitious bicycles are one option using air-filled floats and propellers. So these shoes were a good idea. They were invented back in the 80s, yet they're still in use in the rural parts of India. Finally, the invention straight from the 60s for those who wish for the perks of having a cat but are not ready to commit. Designed to scare off rats and mice. It turns out the rodents weren't buying it. Plus, it couldn't cuddle with you after a long day. On the bright side, it didn't shred your sofa or bring home any unwanted gifts. That invention didn't work out, and people are still trying to invent electric pets. Nah, we may have the weirdest of the bikes, but no one will ever replace an actual purring cat. Trust me on this. Would you like your car to have a high-tech holographic windshield? Hyundai plans to start mass-producing it soon. This windshield will be split into sections. The driver can see useful information like speed and directions, while the passenger can watch movies or play games. Even cooler, you can send videos or games straight from your phone to the passenger's section. From the outside, it will look like a normal windshield, so no need to worry about attracting thieves. We hope it's also, safe. The next cool invention is a tiny relaxation device you'll be able to wear around your neck. This pendant can create different types of vibrations, like the gentle feeling of a cat purring or soothing heartbeat, to help you feel calm or entertain you. When you're listening to music, it can make your chest vibrate, so you're feeling like you're at a live concert with booming speakers. Great news for you if you aren't a fan of getting up earlier to fill up your coffee maker with water. The new Carapod pulls water straight out of the air and makes enough for 13 cups of coffee. It even uses a UV filter to clean the water and make it safe to drink. The pods are plant-based, so they're better for the environment. The creator got the idea from a beetle in the desert of Namibia that collects water on its shell. The new magical spoon from Japan makes food taste saltier than it actually is and saves you from all the extra salt. The spoon has tiny electrodes that send a super small gentle zap of electricity. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt at all. The electricity moves tiny bits of sodium on your tongue, which makes your brain think the food has more salt and yummy flavors, even though it doesn't. You can even choose how salty you want it to taste, with 4 settings to pick from. Japanese scientists are creating tech that lets you feel virtual textures, like sand, water, or squishy objects. Instead of using motors like most haptics, they put a tiny bit of oil in a gadget called an actuator. Electricity changes the thickness of the oil, creating the right sensation when you touch or press. Magnets help control the texture, so it feels super realistic. If your desktop screen never feels large enough for you, you're going to love the world's first rollable laptop. Push one button and it will extend a 14-inch screen upward to the screen space of 16.7 inches. You can even adjust it with a simple hand gesture. It's perfect for scrolling through documents, PDFs, or web pages. The manufacturer tested the rolling mechanism 30,000 times with no issues, so it's built to last. Would you like to legally display a Van Gogh painting in your bedroom? The Ink Poster will let you do it. It's a new low-power digital poster, and you can update it easily using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It's super low power and only uses battery power when the image is changed, so you'll only need to charge it once a year. If you ever feel too lazy to read bedtime stories to your little ones, the Bookstory platform has got you covered. It uses AI to read books aloud, and it can even use your own voice. Just place a book under a sensor and it figures out what's on the pages. It can read the story normally, turn it into a song with song mode, or make it feel like a movie with music and sound effects in theater mode. It can also translate books into any language instantly. Toshiba's AI-powered TV will detect different types of audio, like crowd cheering or loud traffic during news streamings. Then, it will let you amplify or mute specific sounds with a push of just one button, so you never have to miss anything important because of background noise. How about a transparent TV? It will blend perfectly into any interior, as when you're not watching it, you can choose to display art in 3D or make it completely see-through. And if you decide to watch it like a good old regular TV, the image quality is also very impressive. It's already up for grabs for around $60,000. Hey, let's get 2. You might not have the time to go see a doctor every day, but you can sure let a smart full-length mirror check your health while you stand in front of it. The mirror scans your body for things like heart and lung health, while the base measures heart rate, blood pressure, and even your oxygen use. The mirror explains everything in simple terms. Another cool invention is a super small chip, only as thin as a piece of paper. It produces sound in a completely new way, by creating waves that are so high-pitched even humans can't hear them. These special waves help create a clear, rich sound that works perfectly no matter what you're listening to. It's 3 times thinner than the drivers use to make sound in most headphones or speakers. This tiny chip can fit into a lot of things, like your favorite wireless earbuds, smart glasses, or your phone. If you spend a lot of time in your office chair, or maybe you're a passionate gamer, you're gonna love the new model with temperature control. It comes both with a heater and a bladeless fan. The fan draws the air from the bottom of the smart chair. It goes through vents on the sides of the chair's back and right up to your neck. The folks who tested it say it's way more pleasant than just a fan in the room, and the heating doesn't make your back sweat. You won't have to go off the grid anymore, even on your most remote and wild adventures. The new off-grid gadget will be linked to your smartphone to let you use satellite internet networks in areas that have no cellular signal. You'll also be able to share your location with up to 5 people, so they'll always know exactly where you are. No worries, it's tiny and almost weightless, so it won't weigh you down while hiking. Coming up next, a headset that uses noise-canceling and sound-dampening technologies to create an invisible sound bubble effect around you. Even if someone is standing just 2 feet away, they won't hear a word of your conversation. The headset has special microphones that can pick up your voice even if you talk very softly, as quiet as a whisper. Most microphones need you to talk way louder, basically shouting. The new headset also blocks out background noise, so the person you're talking to hears only your voice, clear and crisp. Scientists in Japan have built a machine that turns sunlight and water into clean hydrogen fuel. It uses special sheets that catch sunlight and split water into hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen is collected as fuel, and the oxygen is left behind. This could power cars, factories, and homes, but the tech still needs some work to make it faster and more efficient. Right now, the machine is still in the making, and the scientists need some time to make it better to work faster and create more fuel. Gardening fans, meet your new best friend, Petal. This bright orange camera, shaped like a flower on a plant-like stalk, uses AI to identify and track insects. It can even observe other things in your garden, like sprouting seeds and growing plants. Don't have a garden yet? Hey, no problem. The same company also sells Wonder Blocks, a modular system that works as a planter, and a cozy bug hotel for pollinators. It feels like everything is run by AI these days, even lipstick. This baby is designed by a Brazilian cosmetics brand to make applying makeup easier for people with visual impairments or limited upper body mobility. A special sensor figures out the shape of the user's lips. They pick a color they like, and then a robot arm smoothly applies the lipstick for them. The same company has already created easy grip makeup brushes for people who might have trouble with hand coordination or grip strength. So, which of these inventions would you like to try out first? Has your trusty phone ever let you down? More times than you can count? It always seems to run out of juice at the worst possible moment. You forget to top it off, or you end up in an area with no service. And let's not forget how useless it can be in an emergency, like during a tornado when there's no signal. But fear not, there's a cool project called Meshtastic that uses a wireless protocol to keep you connected with your friends. It's like magic, using a radio band called LoRa for encrypted messages. It works in literally any external conditions. Plus, each device can act as a repeater to extend the range of your messages. Perfect for disaster recovery or just keeping tabs on your kids. For less than $25, you can get a starter kit to join the Meshtastic fun. Add a GPS module and a battery and you've got your own private channel. No more stressing when your kids are out and about. You can instantly see where they are. And if you're feeling daring, you can even send low bitrate audio through the airwaves. Now I'll bet there's a bunch of things your car just can't do. Can it lean into corners? Yeah, I don't think so. What about adjusting its own width to park easier? I know your answer is no, but let me show you something then. This cutie is called Trigo EV, and even though it looks like a futuristic stroller, it's actually a fully functional quadricycle you can totally drive. It was initially created for delivery and car-sharing purposes, but it turned out cooler and way more comfy than expected. If you ever find yourself driving this electric, let's call it a car, shall we? You won't need anything else but a tiny patch of land to park it. It has a maximum speed of 56 miles per hour. Not bad for such a tiny car. In cruise driving mode, it measures 58 inches wide, but a mechanism allows the front wheels to retract toward the chassis, reducing the width to 34 inches. The electric four-wheeler weighs slightly over 1,000 pounds, with a total permissible mass of around 1,600 pounds. Right, it all looks futuristic and fun, but I feel safer in good old SUVs. Ever wished you had an extra arm to help you out when your hands are full? Scientists have figured out how to control a robotic third arm using just your diaphragm muscle. It's as easy as pie, if pie is easy. This awesome discovery was made in Switzerland as part of the super cool Third Arm Project. They had volunteers wearing exoskeleton arms and a sensor belt to track their diaphragm movements, all while navigating a virtual world in VR. After over 150 sessions with 61 volunteers, most people found it a breeze to control 3 arms at once. They could even multitask, chatting and looking around while using the third arm. Now recently, a new, fully autonomous delivery service with fast food joints was launched. This means no people involved from pickup to drop-off. It's called Flytrex, and it's been delivering using drones since 2017, teaming up with big names in retail and food to bring you quick and cheap deliveries. They're currently flying high in North Carolina and Texas, with plans to expand nationwide. Their goal is to make deliveries faster and cheaper using their trusty drones. Your order could be at your door in as little as 5 minutes after it's ready. Now, that's speedy. Flytrex got a huge increase in customers and even FAA approval for long-range drone deliveries in 2023. Partnering with big brands like Unilever and Papa John's, they're definitely on a roll. More a pizza roll. The Monocab Owl project is all about making a super cool monorail vehicle for getting around in rural areas sustainably. The Monocab is a clever little autonomous monorail vehicle that can balance itself on a regular rail without any extra support. Its slim design allows it to zip along single-track lines in both directions, perfect for some unique rail mobility ideas. It's like a fun service-on-demand option that's way more exciting than your usual transportation choices, especially for reviving old railway lines in rural areas. Everyone on the Monocab Owl team is stoked about shaking things up in rural mobility. Right now, there's a lack of good, eco-friendly and budget-friendly options for getting around in less populated areas. Reactivating old railway lines is a great start, but we need some fresh ideas to really make it work. That's where these small, self-driving rail vehicles come in. They bring together the best of rail travel with on-demand booking and a cool digital navigation system. Look here! Can you identify what this weird-looking object is? It's a mobile solar container with foldable solar panels for green energy on the go. Just pop out the panels, unfold them, and you're good to power up equipment and properties with green energy wherever you are. The solar container can extend up to almost 400 feet in length when fully unfolded and has 240 solar panels. It's perfect for both on- and off-grid uses, like rescue missions and outdoor events. And it only takes about 5 hours to set up. Easy peasy. There's even an automatic conveyor system for easy folding and unfolding of the panels. Just push a button and start harnessing solar power. SolarKant, the Austrian company that invented it, estimates this mobile solar container can power around 32 households. Virtual meetings are all the rage nowadays. Remote chats are cool, but let's be real, they're no match for face-to-face meetings. We can see each other, hear each other, but it's still pretty flat and 2D. Or, shall I say it was flat? The thing is, HoloBox from HoloConnects is bringing holograms to life. This super cool device lets you project a life-size hologram of yourself or anyone else inside a funky box. Just plug it in, connect it to the internet, and voila! You've got a hologram ready to go. You can even connect multiple boxes to showcase big stuff like cars or anything else. Now, holograms are a massive game changer for remote communication. Imagine chatting with someone and seeing them in 3D like they're right there with you. Plus, it adds a personal touch to presentations, training sessions, ads, you name it. What do you think? Does this look cool or creepy? Check out the latest creation from a rockstar team of engineers at NASA Ames Research Center and KBR, a robot system that can autonomously build structures using lattice blocks. Their paper in Science Robotics explains how these robots and blocks work together to create amazing things. Designed for future lunar missions, these robots can lay down foundations for shelters before astronauts arrive. 3 robots work together to carry and connect blocks with twisty edges, similar to assembling IKEA furniture. They have already built impressive structures, like a shelter made of 256 blocks in just over 4 days. Imagine what they could do on the moon. Experience the interactive pearl sculpture by Breakfast. No food implied, just the name of the company. It's placed on a huge cruise ship called the Icon of the Seas. The stunning creation imitates the ocean's vibes, with rolling waves and shooting stars, each tile placed in a neat Fibonacci sequence. Using real-time data from the Caribbean, this sculpture changes constantly to match the current weather and tides, bringing the ocean to life before your eyes. Yeah, this invention won't change your life, but it's meant to nurture your soul. Have you heard about the Seattle-based startup Jetoptera? They're developing innovative vertical takeoff and landing vehicles with bladeless propulsion systems, promising a future of quiet, safe, and fast urban flight. By 2050, 70% of the population will be living in cities, leading to crowded streets. But Jetoptera's fluidic propulsion system offers a solution, using air pressure technology for silent operation. Jetoptera is also working on a high-speed VTOL for the U.S. Air Force, with plans for passenger-carrying prototypes by 2026. Well, that's exciting.
Tsunamis, earthquakes, avalanches. There are so many dangers haunting us in this world. Luckily, the greatest minds of our time have invented more than enough devices to save our lives, even in the most unpredictable situations. Some of them look like something out of a sci-fi movie, like a device allowing you to imitate Spider-Man or a drone that can turn into a boat. Let's have a look at these engineering wonders. A wall of water is approaching rapidly. It's a tsunami. You rush to the roof towards your survival capsule. It's a bright orange, high-strength floating metal ball, watertight, buoyant, and made of aircraft-grade aluminum. It can withstand sharp object penetration and heat exposure that can protect up to 16 people. With 5 days' worth of supplies, it can also be used in the event of a typhoon or hurricane. If an earthquake scares you even more than a tsunami, there's a Chinese inventor, Wang, that has got you covered. His idea is a special bed with tremor sensors. When activated, it swallows the sleeper inside a metal frame with a protective lid, basically transforming into an earthquake-resistant box. The bed also has crucial items you need to survive, like medical kits, flashlights, water, and food supplies enough to last for several days. You aren't likely to get out of that earthquake bed on your own, but thanks to this next invention, you can get out of the car in case of an emergency. At first glance, this wrist strap looks unassuming, but the bead is made of tungsten carbide, known for being extra tough and super durable. If you get blocked in a car, you can take off your bracelet and use it as a slingshot to easily shatter the glass. Its price also starts from a mere $8. Unfortunately, this wonder wristband can't help you if you're being pulled away from the shore by a rip current. But the Life Drone can. It's an amphibious rescue device that can travel both in the air and on water. Its body opens up and orients the propellers in an X formation to fly. Once the drone spots you, its base inflates into a life raft so that you can climb onto it. Then the drone closes and forms an I formation, and its propellers start working underwater, pushing the raft towards safety. If you're stuck on a high floor during a fire or any other emergency, a Skysaver backpack can save your life. True to its name, it's a backpack with a built-in controlled descent device for evacuating high-rise buildings during emergencies. Thanks to it, a controlled descent from up to 260 feet is possible. All you need to do is buckle up, clip the cable to the anchor, and descend slowly. If you ever find yourself in shark-infested waters, a Shark Bands bracelet might save your life. This accessory uses magnets to create an electromagnetic field, disrupting electroreception of sharks. It's supposed to deter them from coming close to the wearer. Plus, Shark Bands doesn't harm sharks or any other ocean inhabitants. If, while driving a car, you get into an accident, an airbag will protect you. Unfortunately, motorcyclists don't have the same protection. Or do they? Helite Turtle 2 Air Vest is a wearable airbag for bikers that inflates after detachment from a bike and provides a great protection against impacts. It can be reused and inflates ultra fast, faster than you can blink. It also protects the most vital parts of the body. If you're a fan of winter sports like mountain skiing and snowboarding, you might want to invest into an avalanche airbag. It can significantly increase the chances of surviving in an avalanche. It's basically a large balloon that inflates within 3 seconds once you pull a cord or handle. When inflated, the airbag makes it less likely for you to be completely covered with snow and keeps you as high up in the snowpack as possible. Another awesome invention is indestructible gloves. Schmidt's Mitts safety gloves are made from Kevlar and other resistant materials and offer extreme protection against heat, cuts, and impacts. Dubbed the world's toughest gloves, they cost around $50 a pair and are super useful for people working in the fields that require superior hand protection, like firefighters or those working on oil and gas rigs. In the near future, doctors might have an amazing invention to help them do their job too. I'm talking about a magnetic slime robot. It's made of slime material that can navigate tight spaces inside the human body and retrieve swallowed objects. The soft robot is controlled by magnets and can reach a speed of more than 1 inch per second. Unfortunately, at the moment the robot is toxic to ingest for humans. But scientists are working on this problem. And this is an amazing invention that can take care of house fires. Look, it's a fire extinguishing ball, a self-activating device that puts out fires by detonating a special chemical powder after coming into contact with flames. It can be installed in various vulnerable points in different parts of your home, in the kitchen, bedroom, laundry room, and so on. But let's get back to those scarily fast and powerful avalanches. There's another thing that can save your life if you get caught in a snowy wave. It's an air supply system that allows those stuck under snow to breathe freely. This device doesn't require a mouthpiece. Instead, it replaces CO2 in front of the trapped person's face with oxygen, extending the potential survival window to over 90 minutes. Some of the most basic rules for survival in the city go like this: stay alert and stick to busier neighborhoods if you can. And still, sometimes alarming situations are unavoidable. A siren ring can help you stay safe. This quite stylish and sophisticated ring conceals a miniature alarm system. When activated, it emits a shockingly loud sound. This sound exceeds 110 decibels, which is as loud as a working jackhammer, and can be activated within 2 seconds. If you're lost in a forest and get extremely thirsty, you might be ready to quench your thirst even from a dirty river. In this case, Life Straw can save your life. This water purification system requires no batteries or electric power. It removes almost all waterborne bacteria, allowing you to drink directly from streams, rivers, or lakes. But keep in mind that Life Straw doesn't remove chemicals, salt water, heavy metals, or viruses. Carrying a power bank at all times might be slightly inconvenient. Luckily, a wristband power bank has already been invented. It allows you to charge your phone on the go. It looks like a bracelet. You can wrap it around your wrist and wear it with almost any outfit. The device has a mini USB or Apple Lightning plug on the end slotting into the bracelet. I wouldn't say that this next invention could save your life, but it's undoubtedly very convenient. Let me introduce a credit card light bulb. This is a tiny light that fits into your wallet. At first glance, it's an unusual card that looks like a flat incandescent lamp, but it lights up once you push it vertically. And the rest of the card serves as a stand. This cool invention weighs a mere 0.8 ounces and is powered by one tiny battery. Let's say you got stuck in the woods for the night. I've got great news for you. You can turn fire into electricity using wood. All thanks to BioLite Camp Stove. It's light and easy to transport, but it can still cook a meal while charging your gadgets. Thanks to patented thermoelectric technology, the device generates electricity and creates a smokeless campfire that can cook food and boil water in minutes. Another device that looks like a backpack but is actually so much more. what you're looking at is an off-grid solar backpack, perfect for travelers and photographers. It can power your gadgets as long as there's daylight. Just charge its battery with sunlight and use the USB port to keep your devices charged. As for the fabric of the backpack, it's made out of recycled PET, basically soda. Water, earth, air. These are the three elements that can unleash disasters. Thankfully, the masters of all elements, aka scientists and engineers, created these 7 genius inventions that might one day help save your life. Your home insurance company will appreciate you investing in this one. Floodworks vinyl tubes are like big, long pillows made of strong plastic that are filled with water. Each tube is 4 feet long and can be used to block water from getting through doors or into garages, as well as divert it. They're good for stopping water that's up to 6 inches high. You can bend these tubes into different shapes and they will hold their new form. They're designed with a cap on one end to fill them up with water. The other end has a special opening that lets you connect tubes together with a clip to allow you to create a longer barrier if needed. There's a part on the tubes called a break, which stops them from rolling away. To keep out taller amounts of water, you can put one layer of tubes on top of another, making a triangle shape like a pyramid. This can keep out water up to 12 inches high. However, it's advised not to stack them any higher than that. If you've got deeper water, you might need a different water-bending move. I mean, flood solution. If only Titanic had this invention on board. In the event of a shipwreck, we know by now that old-school lifeboats are too slow to launch and there aren't enough for everyone. Life buoys, on the other hand, are too few and can only save one person each. And life jackets are often not within easy reach when you really need them. This is where instant relief comes in handy. So cleverly called the Anti-Tanic, it is a lifeboat that allows multiple people to stay safe and together in the event of a shipwreck. It has a crisscross, waffle-like pattern that acts like many life rafts, allowing a large number of people to stay afloat. In case of an emergency, once the ship's sensors detect damage, the alarm sounds and the device gets to work right away without anyone having to do anything. Fueled by high-pressure carbon dioxide, it fills up with gas in just 2 minutes. The life mat can be 50 square meters, so there's room to save plenty of people. And no, people don't need to literally jump ship to get on it. The device inflates and forms a ladder against the ship's side, so everyone can climb down this ladder and onto the safety of the big air mat. What's even more clever is that the mat has different sections. People who need extra help, like the elderly, children, or those with disabilities, can stay out of the water and rest. If earthbending is not one of your skills, better check this invention out. Debris flows and shallow landslides are like super fast rivers of mud that can carry big rocks, tree branches, or even large boulders. They happen when too much rain or melted snow makes the ground on hillsides too wet and slippery, especially if there aren't any plants or trees to hold the soil together. This can also happen when the ground gets burned in a wildfire and there's nothing left to protect it. Debris flows usually follow the shape of the land, moving through natural paths like gullies or ditches. If nothing stops them, they can damage roads, bridges, and houses, or even block rivers. This is where the debris flow barriers come in handy. They act like a big net that catches these mud rivers before any disastrous consequences. Placed right in the natural paths of the debris flow, the barrier has special elements that soak up the energy from the debris flow, slowing it down and stopping all the stuff from moving further. What's also great about them is that they don't damage the environment. One can take them down without leaving a mess and put them back up again if there's a risk of debris flows in the future. This little box, created by NASA engineers, is not looking for extraterrestrial creatures or other planets. It's a life-saving radar called Finder that's designed to find people trapped under the rubble of collapsed buildings right here on Earth. Using a technology that is similar to what might be used for space exploration, Finder can detect the tiny, rhythmic movements of a human heartbeat and breathing amidst chaos and destruction. The way it works is like this. It sends out a safe, low-energy microwave signal into the debris, which is much weaker than what your mobile phone emits. As the signal then bounces back from the rubble, Finder listens for patterns that show someone is there, living and breathing, even when they can't call out or may be unconscious. The device is so sensitive that it can tell the difference between a person and an animal. Engineers also use a unique method to pick out these signals of life from other random movements, like leaves shaking or other non-life patterns. According to tests, it can search a small building in about 10 minutes and a much larger area in about a half an hour. On the other hand, the next invention is designed to help save lives, not after, but during the event of an earthquake. Earthquake-proof table is a sturdy school desk that doubles as a life-saving shelter during earthquakes. While kids are often taught to duck and cover under their desks when the ground shakes, regular tables can become traps if they buckle or collapse. But not this one. It's built to stand strong during quakes and keep the kids safe underneath it. What makes it special is that it's been thought through for different ways buildings can fall apart during a quake. This way, it ensures kids can have a safe spot no matter what and can be reached by rescue teams afterward. It has also been put to impact tests with various types of weights and debris to confirm it can take a beating without going in. Besides its strength, the table is light enough for 2 children to lift and move, as well as spacious enough to accommodate a pair of students seeking refuge. This invention basically allows you to bend water and air at the same time. Imagine you're out enjoying the waves or paddling on a lake, and you suddenly need a bit of help to stay afloat. This is where Kingi, which is the world's smallest wrist flotation device, comes in. Worn around your wrist, it's sleek and barely noticeable until you need it. In the event of distress in the water, you can activate it by pulling a lever, which triggers the inflation of a balloon. This balloon aids in buoyancy, easing you to the water's surface. The device is also equipped with a whistle to draw the attention of rescuers in critical situations. Kingi is not a single use. Once you're back on dry land, you can deflate the balloon, fold it back inside, pop in a new CO2 cartridge, and it's ready for your next water adventure. The last invention on the list is like a guardian angel for adventurers in snowy mountains. When an avalanche hits, it can be a race against time. In such an event, SafeBack SBX helps you continue breathing if you get trapped under snow masses, all without the need for a mouthpiece. This could be a game changer because, usually, if someone is trapped by an avalanche, they might only have about 15 minutes before running out of air becomes a real problem. But with the SafeBack SBX, you could have up to 90 minutes of breathing help. That's a lot of extra time for rescuers to get you. It's been through a ton of tests to make sure it works in all kinds of snowy situations. It's also designed to fit into different brands of avalanche backpacks. Plus, it's light enough to not add extra weight to your backpack and tough enough to handle the rough and tumble of an avalanche and keep working.
Traditional LEDs have been around for years, emitting colors like red or green. However, creating blue LEDs was a tough nut to crack due to the complexity of the process. In 2014, 3 Japanese researchers snagged the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work in making blue LEDs a reality. They developed a new semiconductor material called gallium nitride, which paved the way for efficient blue light emission. This breakthrough not only revolutionized the lighting industry, but also contributed to sustainable energy solutions. By combining red, green, and blue LEDs, you get white light. Alternatively, you can excite a chemical layer in a bulb with blue light to emit white light. LED lighting is more energy efficient than other types, making it a momentous change for the 1.5 billion people without access to electricity grids. If all lights were LED, global electricity usage for lighting could drop from 20 to 4%. Some LED systems are designed to adjust the light color throughout the day to align with the body's natural rhythm, offering a more comfortable lighting experience. Scientists were aware of the concept of materials made up of single atomic layers. but no one had managed to isolate one until recently. For years, researchers had been attempting to create a single layer using advanced and costly methods. However, the breakthrough came when a group of scientists used a simple and inexpensive tool, regular sticky tape, to isolate a single sheet of graphene. In 2004, a team of scientists announced the discovery of graphene, a thin layer of carbon just one atom thick. This discovery surprised the scientific community, as it had been believed that materials like graphene would be too unstable to exist. Graphene quickly became the talk of the town, with new findings on its properties adding to the excitement. In recognition of their work, the scientists received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2010. The idea that strictly two-dimensional arrangements of atoms would be unstable was long held, but recent research has shown otherwise. Graphite, which we commonly find in pencils, is made up of layers of carbon atoms arranged in a hexagonal pattern. These layers are what we refer to as graphene. Interestingly, the discovery of structures like buckyballs and nanotubes hinted that carbon could indeed form stable 2D sheets. One of the most fascinating qualities of graphene is its exceptional electrical conductivity, allowing it to carry significant currents at room temperature. Its unique properties have opened a world of possibilities in electronics and material science. Researchers are also exploring graphene's potential in fields like solar energy and battery technology. Now, the idea of touchscreens on devices has been around for a while, even showing up in science fiction movies and books. However, it took a lot of time to actually develop the technology to accurately sense and respond to finger touches on screens. Many people think Steve Jobs dreamed up the touch interface, but that's not quite true. He just introduced the technology in a way that really caught people's attention. Apple engineers have put in a lot of effort to improve the technology, adding features like scrolling without the need for physical buttons. The first touchscreen device is believed to be the work of American professor Samuel Hurst in the early 1970s. He was looking for a way to automate reading information from recorder tapes, which led to the creation of the world's first touchscreen. Over the years, touchscreen technology continued to evolve, eventually leading to the development of touchscreen smartphones and tablets. In 2002, companies like HTC and Xenarc Technologies started producing devices with touchscreens, setting the stage for the popular devices we use today. These devices have found countless applications in various industries and have improved how we interact with technology. So, while Steve Jobs may not have invented the touchscreens, his contribution to making them mainstream cannot be denied. Now, for years, the concept of flying with a personal jet engine attached to your back has been a futuristic dream. However, the reality is that this dream has yet to become a mainstream reality. Despite promises of a practical jetpack hitting the market soon, there are several reasons why this technology has not taken off. First, the human body is not naturally built for flight. Without genetic modifications to create lift, individuals cannot soar like birds. This means that all the lift must come from the thrust generated by the jetpack. Next, thrust requires a significant amount of fuel, which can be expensive. Carrying more fuel for longer flights adds weight, requiring even more thrust and burning more fuel in a vicious cycle. Additionally, most jetpacks use rocket propulsion, which requires carrying both fuel and oxidizer. Jet and rocket packs are also difficult to control and can be unstable in flight. The short flight time limits the ability to reach a safe altitude for emergency situations, such as engine failure. Plus, the inefficiency of flying one person with a jetpack makes it impractical for most uses. While they may look cool, the practicality and cost-effectiveness of jetpacks have yet to be realized. The idea of using light in a precise and powerful way sounded like something straight out of a sci-fi movie until lasers were invented in the 1960s. Since then, lasers have totally changed the game in industries like medicine, fiber optics for communication, and manufacturing, where they're used with incredible precision for things like cutting and welding. Even though lasers can now come in all sorts of colors, Making a white laser was a whole different story. White light is made up of a bunch of different wavelengths, unlike a single wavelength that traditional lasers produce. But instead of seeing this as a roadblock, many scientists view it as an exciting challenge. One idea for making a white laser is to combine several lasers to create a beam that looks white to us. But getting this to work without losing coherence is no easy task. Still, some researchers have succeeded in making a white laser using just one crystal, proving that there are new and creative ways to push the boundaries of optics. Back in 1903, Henry Ford's lawyer was advised against investing in Ford's automobile company. A mysterious person told him there would always be a horse and cars were just a passing fad. Well, as of 2021, almost 300 million vehicles were registered in the US alone. Take that, Mr. Anonymous Advisor. Jokes aside, at the beginning of the 20th century, people indeed didn't really welcome the whole concept of cars. Americans weren't really feeling the whole cars in the city thing. But as highways, suburbs, and anti-walking laws started popping up, people started to come around to the car-centric lifestyle. This shift meant less focus on walkable communities, which is kind of sad because it affects our ability just to stroll around our neighborhoods. Now, there's a common misconception that the price of lab-grown diamonds will drastically decrease in the future. This misconception is often promoted by the mined diamond industry, which claims that lab diamond prices will eventually plummet to the level of lower-quality diamond simulants like cubic zirconia. The reality is that high-quality lab diamonds are quite rare and difficult to produce. Growing brown or industrial-grade lab diamonds is easier and more cost-effective, while growing colorless, high-quality lab diamonds is a complex and expensive process. Similar to mined diamonds, there are two distinct categories of lab diamonds: high quality and low quality. Makes sense to me. Most lab diamonds on the market fall into the low quality category, while high-end retailers offer access to superior quality lab diamonds that are much harder to grow. The process of growing high-quality lab diamonds is a challenging one due to the speed limit on how fast a diamond crystal can be grown. Trying to speed up the growth process can result in diamonds with fractures, low clarity, and undesirable undertones. Shortcuts, such as adding boron during growth, can lead to low-quality lab diamonds with a blue tinge or brown color that needs to be irradiated to remove. Cutting and polishing lab-grown diamonds is also a costly and labor-intensive process, requiring the use of multi-million-dollar laser tools and highly skilled technicians.
Have you ever tried riding your bike over nails? I guess it wasn't your intention, but if it happened at least once, you don't want to live through that experience again. Now imagine you'd have to ride your bike on Mars. Its surface is covered with rocks, canyons, volcanoes, dry lake beds, craters, and red dust. That combo makes those nails look totally harmless. No wheels we use down on Earth will do the trick. So NASA has been working on developing the perfect ones for use on the Moon or Mars since the 1960s. They tried smooth rubber tires with inner tubes full of nitrogen, large flexible wire mesh wheels, and airless compliant tires made of several hundred coiled steel wires, the spring tire, but nothing was good enough for the challenging cosmic terrains. The wheels of Mars Curiosity rover only lasted a bit over a year before they got seriously damaged. The rover's tires faced two big problems. First, they had to be strong enough to carry the enormous weight of the vehicle. Engineers tried to make it the most efficient vehicle for exploration, different from previous models that worked on the Moon and on Mars before it. That's how it ended up being so heavy. A big, heavy car needs durable tires, you know. And of course, the surface of Mars is no walk in the park. The engineers tried to make tires out of aluminum, which is a lightweight and strong material, but the wheels got shredded soon. The damage didn't prevent Curiosity from doing its job, but it did affect how efficient it was. And that's where the new, reinvented wheel rolled in. NASA decided to replace aluminum with a material called shape memory alloy. It's made of a unique type of metal called nitinol, a blend of nickel and titanium. Unlike other materials that bend out of shape under pressure or heat, This cool substance reverts back to its original shape on its own in the same circumstances. Nitinol is the hero up on Mars, but it's also useful down on Earth. Just imagine your tires never getting punctured again. Sounds good to me. One company decided to use this tech on their bikes. The tires are tube-shaped and squash down when you roll over a bump. They will develop perfect shape memory over time. They're supposed to work best on gravel, trail, and mountain bikes. The metal surface is covered with a rubbery outer layer. When it wears off eventually, the company plans to retread the tires to make them last for years. The previous airless tire models were made of patented foam that was supposed to last for up to 5,000 miles. They didn't take off because they made the bike too heavy. The new model is supposed to solve that problem. Nitinol also works great in the field of heart surgery. Tubes made of it can expand to the desired width under certain temperatures in the human body. The tire isn't the only object that works better with shape memory. If you can't imagine your sleep without that comfy memory foam mattress, you can send a thank you note to NASA for it. Its history goes back to 1966, when they decided to customize seats for astronauts to somehow ease the effects of G-force on takeoff and landing. Creating a custom seat for every flight seemed way too impractical, so memory foam saved the day. It easily adjusted to astronauts' body shape and went back into a rest state when not in use. In the 1980s, it went from space down to the earthly public. Now it's in mattresses, pillows, amusement park rides, horseback saddles, and football helmet liners. The third-generation memory foam has gel particles and viscofoam inside. That's the secret to its superpower of reducing trapped body heat, springing back up in no time, and making the mattress feel soft as a cloud. The name says it all, but in case you ever had your doubts, space blankets were indeed invented by NASA with space in mind. Back in the 1960s, they were preparing for the space era and looking for a thin, reflective metallic material that would protect their spaceships from solar radiation. And they managed to design just the perfect material MPET, strong enough to be used as insulation to protect expensive space electronics from temperature swings. Ever since, it has been an important part of nearly every mission to and beyond the orbit of our planet. It's also used in spacesuits to protect astronauts from radiation and the sun's heat once they venture into open space. Down on Earth, space blankets are the best friends of marathon runners. Since body temperature drops after they stop running, they need something to help bring it back to normal. And the magical space blanket material can also protect your phone from extreme heat and cold when used as an insulation layer in a phone case. In the early 1960s, headsets for airline pilots used to be really bulky. They often had to use handheld mics to communicate. NASA needed a more reliable and lightweight technology for their missions to make sure the communication would go without any problems. In 1961, the Liberty Bell 7 capsule splashed down, and astronaut Gus Grissom nearly sank without radio transmission or contact with his recovery team. NASA reached out to a manufacturing company to design a headset that could be planted into an astronaut's helmet. Just 11 days later, the team came up with a microphone headset unit that could be used by astronauts to communicate with one another and with Earth. It even had a noise-canceling feature. The headset was later improved and used for Mercury and Apollo missions. The world was able to hear Neil Armstrong's most famous phrase as he landed on the moon thanks to that wireless headset. Freeze-drying tech for food was not created but greatly improved by NASA to pack more snacks on long Apollo missions. During the first human missions, astronauts had to eat bite-sized cubes, freeze-dried powders, and squeeze semi-liquids out of aluminum tubes. Doesn't sound like a festive meal, right? The astronauts weren't happy about this diet, so NASA had to think of a better solution for the Gemini missions. They funded research that ended in developing special gravies that could go into edible shape in hot water in just 5 minutes. The idea of freeze-drying is to cook food, then freeze it under low pressure, and then slowly heat it in a vacuum chamber to remove ice crystals. Thanks to this tech, food maintains 98% of its nutritional value, with only 20% of its original weight. NASA kept improving the tech in the following decades. Now, freeze-dried food is a great help for backpackers, disaster relief programs, and anyone who needs to pack light and still get proper nutrition. The infrared thermometer that lets us check temperature from a distance was developed with the support of NASA as well. It measures thermal radiation emitted by your eardrum, a lot like they measure the temperature of stars and planets. Each device has a lens that focuses light from the object onto a special detector that converts radiation into an electrical signal and then into temperature that you can see on a display. It's used for many purposes, from monitoring hotspot temperatures in mechanical and electrical systems to checking the temperature of visitors in public places. I bet you didn't see this one coming. The technology behind selfies comes from that designed for interplanetary missions cameras. In the 1990s, one of NASA Labs, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, introduced a light mini imaging system that didn't need a lot of energy to take high-quality photos from space. This tech is used in cell phone and computer cameras, and if we go back to the 1960s, we'll find some good evidence that the whole idea of selfies could belong to astronauts. Edwin Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon, took some selfies up there with a specially designed Hasselblad camera. He even used the spacecraft as a tripod to stabilize the image and get his face in it. Remember this if you ever end up in space with no one to take photos of you.
Have you ever stumbled upon something online that made you say, I wonder how I hadn't come up with something like that? Well, you're about to do it many, many times in a row. I mean, isn't this chair someone found at the food court of a mall the coolest thing ever? You won't have to put your bag on the floor or cheek every 2 minutes if it hasn't slipped down from your chair. Little notch, big difference. Can you guess what these metal things on the corner of the stairs are for? I was confused too, but it turns out that these are dust corners. And nope, they aren't just there as a fancy Victorian-style decor element. They actually keep dust from accumulating in the corners of the stairs to make it easier for you to sweep it out of there. This pan seems a bit weird, but in fact, it's just brilliant. You know when you fry the meat for hamburgers and then it takes you forever to get the grease off? Well, this shape makes it super easy to drain all that yucky liquid without a problem. No more scraping the pans. But if you love French fries, you gotta love this one. Isn't that mini bowl for sauce on the top of the packet très magnifique? How many clothing items did you ruin while trying to remove the labels? It won't happen again if your new garments are going to be like this one here. The label is attached to a small piece of fabric and not the item itself. So even if you make a wrong move, your new shirt will be safe. Plus, it won't leave any tickling traces behind. Before you decide this onesie is defective, because you know, these two buttons are different from others in color, here's some news for you. It's actually one of those brilliant designs. These buttons are made different so that you can line them up easier. Driving on an icy road can be tricky and dangerous, but knowing what's ahead of you will help you get alert and pass it easier. This ice alert changes color into blue when it's freezing outside, so you know what to expect. Trying to plug in a USB drive, especially when you're in a rush, can be, well, quite annoying. But this one, with rounded edges, it's a whole new level of pluggability. And yes, you can now put it in either way, both up and down. If you've ever tried to assemble pretty much anything involving bolts, screws, and the like, you know one of those little guys can make a huge difference, especially when it's missing. So, thanks to whoever invented this set design that comes with a separate section with spare parts. Another helper for your do-it-yourself or rather fix-it-yourself endeavors, this O-ring bag comes with a scale, and you can double-check if you're getting the right sized detail. How much water do you need to boil for just 1 cup of tea? You don't have to know as long as you have this kettle that knows it for you. Coffee, though, is a completely different story. Don't be surprised if you get one of those fancy Italian coffee makers and they say it's for 2 cups, and a cup is for like 1 sip. The real espresso cup should be no bigger than 2 to 3 ounces to keep the rich taste and the temperature right. Moving on to our next genius design. Can you guess what this little hook inside the container is for? It will take care of that scoop that always swims somewhere in your way. Cocoa, flour, or pretty much anything that comes in powder form.
Before I explain the next invention, do you know what the dirtiest spot in your bathroom is? Newsflash, it's not the toilet. We believe it's dirty, so we spend a lot of time and effort cleaning it. But the real champion when it comes to germs is the bathroom floor. Your toothbrush holds the second place, followed by the doorknobs, towels, and loofahs. That's why this elbow-operated bathroom door handle is so brilliant. Your plants are gonna love this one, and it will make taking care of them more fun for you. A watering can and a spray bottle all in one. Super handy. What kind of contraption is this one? A short online discussion tells us it's another hybrid, this time for cleaning window tracks. You should use the black part as a scraper to move the dust. Then, flip the gadget over and use the brush to sweep the dust into the tiny dustpan. I wonder if it'll work on my laptop keyboard. Another not-so-obvious design that sparked a whole discussion on the internet. This gadget that punches down has a row of pins that came in a box of craft supplies. Any ideas? If you love putting ribbons on gifts, you need this one in your life. This cool tool is for curling gift ribbons. You gotta pull the ribbon to one side, pinch it, then pull it back with force towards the tail end. And voila! You get a curly bow which takes your gift wrapping to the next level. And what about this one? Small silicone tube with 2 attachments on the sides. Well, do you remember that time when you were learning to hold a pencil and write? It would definitely be way easier with this gadget. It's a silicone holder that can be used to learn to hold pens, pencils, scissors, makeup brushes, and maybe other similar things. Feel free to get creative. One internet user found it in their hotel room. Must have kept them baffled for a while. But luckily, others knew exactly what this strange phone cord with plastic parts on both ends was for. It's a 2-sided retention cable for a TV remote. You can use it at home if you don't want to lose your remote anymore. But if you find it at the hotel, looks like they don't trust their guests that much and don't want you to keep the remote as a souvenir. Forget everything I said before. This machine of the future is my absolute favorite. Because it can, ta-da, fold laundry for you. Yep, your shirts can look as good as they did when you bought them. Can you imagine a cuter holder for wireless headphones? Neither can I. Anyone still using ink to write long, romantic letters? Remember to tilt this bottle when it's 3/4 empty, and don't lose a drop of ink. This color coding system for boxes must speed up sorting and delivery a lot. All you have to do is memorize which color stands for what. Looks like someone is getting pork and vegetable dumplings out of this one. Washington, D.C. Metro took this idea to the next level and tested the color coding system on their handrails. They replaced the traditional black ones at one station over the weekend. Red was for red line, and yellow and green, you guessed it right, for yellow and green train lines. It was supposed to help passengers find which escalator they needed to reach the right platforms faster. Hiking fans, this one is for you. These boots transform from regular sneakers into ones that are perfect for walking on ice. These little spikes will save you from sliding, and they're gone. To whoever designed this ruler with a raised end, thank you. Looks like picking up the ruler off the table will no longer be a quest. If you have some family members who can't reach the sink yet, you might want to buy this cool piece of bathroom furniture right about now. Yes, the step pulls out like a drawer. And don't leave the bathroom just yet. You're going to love this toilet with a built-in sink. You wash your hands and the water will be used for your next flush. Ingenious! Can I interest you in this useful invention? It's an avocado slicer. You cut your favorite healthy snack in half, seed it, and then scoop out the slices. Neat!
Cowboys, cattle, lassos, tumbleweed, wanted posters, and more. What am I talking about? Manhattan. No, that's not right. It's the Wild West. How about joining me on my thrilling journey of yesteryear? We're out yonder in the Wild West in America during the mid-1800s, in a time when people could do whatever they wanted. They could pretty much always get away with it. But that their lawlessness was put to an end by a simple invention: barbed wire, also known as the thorny fence. Before this invention, cattle ranchers and cowboys could go wherever they wanted. They used the crops and water of the farmers to feed their herds along the way. Farmers didn't have many options to protect their land. Wooden and stone fences were expensive and hard to construct. Some farmers looked for alternatives and even tried using thorn bushes. But those plants took their sweet time growing out there. I mean, it took way too long to cultivate those bushes. Plus, all of these things could be torn apart easily, either by the weather conditions or by cattle. Then barbed wire came around. It spread the area in no time among farmers. For cowboys, these wires caused a big problem while transporting cattle. Many cows got wounded or sometimes worse when they scraped along the wire. Cowboys could protect the animals, but they couldn't create water and crops out of thin air on free land. Since they no longer had access to these consumables via farmers, they eventually lost their jobs. Now, tumbleweeds are icons of the Wild West. This spinning ball is actually not so friendly. It's a type of invasive weed. It can spread on the land easily and really fast. Today, it takes over vast agricultural fields of the arid West. By the end of the 1800s, it was already rolling across many western states, past the border, and headed to Canada. It isn't a native plant, so how do you get here? By ships. No, I mean it. This plant traveled via ships of European immigrants and arrived in South Dakota. When the plant withers, its bushy parts snatch away from the roots and fly away via the wind. It disperses seeds wherever it tumbles. A botanist was sent to examine the situation in the area by the government in the early 1890s. He reported that in 20 years, about 35,000 square miles of land had become covered with the Russian thistle. Tumbleweeds are both an agricultural nuisance and a fire risk. In fact, sometimes huge pileups bury houses and driveways because tumbleweeds have never stopped spreading. Did you know that real cowboys weren't wearing those oversized 10-gallon hats? These were made popular in the 1920s through Hollywood movies. In real life, however, cowboys, ranchers, and farmers wore flat-brimmed hats. I also learned that Vikings didn't actually wear helmets with horns. Yeah, most people imagine Vikings sporting their distinctive helmets, but that's again a misconception. Research reveals that the famed helmets were discovered nearly 2,000 years ago before the Vikings. Helmets with curved horns date back to the Nordic Bronze Age. Well, enough of the Vikings. They can get their own video. Let's return to the Wild West and look closer to camels. Yep, feral camels once ruled the state of Texas. The Camel Corps was instituted in 1856 at Camp Verde. The logic was simple. The environment of the Southwest was similar to the deserts of Egypt, arid and harsh. So, 66 camels were imported from the Middle East to Texas. The experiment worked, but later on, when they were not needed anymore, most of the camels were sold to different places, such as circuses. Some of them were freed to go wild. They escaped, but it's assumed that none of them remained alive to this day. The last feral camel seen in the area was in the year 1941. What else is there to talk about in the Wild West? Well, plenty of things, such as the famous California gold rush of 1849. It turns out that this wasn't America's first gold rush. In fact, not even the second. Imagine a young man working on his father's field in Cabarrus County, North Carolina. One day, he finds a funny-looking large yellow rock. Neither he nor his father knew what that rock was. They even used it as a doorstop for some years. One day, a jeweler visited them and recognized that gold nugget. This is how a 17-pound gold nugget was found in 1799. After that, the gold rush was on. Now, Billy the Kid was a legend when we talk about outlaws back in those days. Let's meet him a little closer. There's not much info about his early life. He was born in an Irish neighborhood in New York in 1859. He called himself William H. Bonney, although that wasn't his real name. Around the mid-1860s, Billy and his mother and brother traveled west to Indiana. Soon after, they moved even further west. At one point, he rode solo, and that's when he became famous and wanted. He had all these outlaw incidents before the age of 21, which turned out to be his last birthday. Billy became an icon and the subject of more than 50 movies. His Stardust fame began in 1911 with the silent film Billy the Kid. Imaginative title, huh? Roy Rogers, Paul Newman, Val Kilmer, and Emilio Estevez are some of the well-known actors who have played the role of Billy. Then, there's that other outlaw, Jesse James, someone else from the Wild West that you would see in a wanted poster. In 1876, he broke into the First National Bank of Minnesota with his team. Then, they kept raiding banks and trains. After those days, he was buried in the front yard of his farm. End of story? Not quite. As time passed, people who didn't like Jesse were also gone. The whole story was almost forgotten, and everything went logically until one point. A man named J. Frank Dalton claimed that he was the real Jesse James in 1948 at age 101. The court allowed him to legally adopt the bandit's name. Interestingly, DNA evidence showed that James was indeed buried in the cemetery. So why did this man come forward years later? The invention of photography put an interesting twist on the clash between good guys and bad guys. Authorities used photography as a way to show any future lawbreakers the fate that awaited them. Uh-oh. Bronco Billy Anderson is widely regarded as the inventor of the Western film genre. He was the star of the early 1900s. He produced and acted in literally dozens of films. After the groundbreaking The Great Train Robbery movie, he decided to build his career on this success by creating the Bronco Billy persona. He wrote and acted in many Western shorts and became the first cowboy idol. The next fact is about communication. It was a necessity to send messages quickly. Here comes the Pony Express. In the mid-1850s, the service started to operate. Nearly 50 letters and 3 newspapers were transported by horseback from Missouri to California, a nearly 1,200-mile-long distance. The horses were ridden fast. The system worked well because both the mount and rider were changed at 12-mile intervals. I know, it's a bit too much, but back then, it was effective in terms of reducing time. The horses can carry messages in about 10 days from the Atlantic to the Pacific coast. Then, of course, came the invention of the telegraph. You might associate cactuses with the Wild West more than telegraphy, but it had a huge effect. In 1837, Samuel Morse invented it, and the code needed to send messages. Miles and miles of telegraph poles and wires were erected in the country, and soon after, that Pony Express system became unnecessary. It had a short life after the telegraph. Now, with the telegraph, people send information almost instantly. Yet the biggest development that transformed the entire country was the construction of railroads. Along with the info, railroads transferred people, livestock, fuel, and all types of goods. The first railroad to link the continent from east to west was built between 1863 and 1869. New towns were rapidly created along the railways, and the Wild West had finally been tamed. Perhaps you were walking down the road recently and had to swerve away from a delivery robot. Maybe that robot even apologized for being in your way and wished you a good rest of your day. Or maybe you ordered a package online and had it delivered to you via drone. A good 10 years ago, these things would have seemed unimaginable. But some of us already live these realities, and it seems they're becoming more natural by the second. So, here comes a list of several examples of groundbreaking technology. I bet you'll still have to blink twice to check whether they're real or not. Robots. Now, the robots we used to imagine back in the day looked like R2-D2 from Star Wars, didn't they? But today, we're experiencing a true robotization of everyday life. If you have the means, you can buy a fridge that makes your grocery list for you, and can even look up recipes for your homemade dinner. You can buy virtual reality goggles to use on your treadmill and spend 1 hour of your day running along a beautiful cliffside in Greece without leaving the comfort of your home. Well, these examples are kind of extreme, but we don't have to go that far. Even our cell phones have their own intelligence now. They can answer your questions about the weather, or even call a number for you, so you won't have to dial it. If we've already gotten this far with technological advances, what will future robots look like, say, in another 10 or 15 years? A company called UbTech has been developing humanoid robots such as Alpha Mini. The Alpha Mini robot was designed to be a household companion. The robot has impeccable handwriting, can pour you a can of Coke, do your laundry, and even fold your clothes. But it's much more than that. This robot was made to interact with people like it's one of us, smiling, laughing, showing concern. It's flexible, can dance, and even do kung fu. Wow. This could be extremely creepy, but the truth is, these robots are very cute. They were designed to look lovable and easily become part of the family. Soon, robots such as this one may be a common thing in different households. Can you imagine? When Tesla launched its Model S car, which has an automated pilot mode, it seemed that the future had finally arrived. All those years we spent dreaming of the days when cars would drive us, and it was finally here. But not really. Even though self-driving cars are impressive, we still have a long way to go. Intelligent cars are able to recognize and respond to turns, red lights, and the proximity of other vehicles, but they still have a lot of blind spots. In real-life situations, some decisions need to be made quickly and instinctively, and this is something we haven't yet managed to teach our machines. Okay, so self-driving cars aren't as amazing as we thought they would be. But how far are we from having cars flying around in the atmosphere? Maybe not that far away, it seems. Actually, some companies are developing flying car prototypes as I speak. Should I talk faster? No? Okay. Those look like a hybrid of a helicopter, a tiny airplane, and you guessed it, a car. And how will these strange flying objects run, you might ask? The flying cars that are currently in development and at testing stages can perform a vertical takeoff much like a helicopter. For now, they're able to travel short distances of about 6 miles. Even so, it's still a car that flies. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm convinced the future is truly near. Few things are worse than waking up every morning and having to look at a tattoo you hate and regret doing. Thankfully, modern laser technologies allow us to easily erase the names of our exes off of our bodies. This might sound extremely cliché, but it's also very true, according to a Paris startup that invested over 3 million euros in developing top-notch shockwave tech focused on tattoo removal. The startup understood that this technology needed an upgrade because, until recently, it could take up to 2 years to get a tattoo fully removed. This meant that most people abandoned the process halfway through. Now, in 2 sessions, you can have a tattoo gone for good. Who knows, maybe in a few years, we'll be able to remove tattoos in the blink of an eye. Now, we still need to work on the front end of this tattoo situation, the decision to get one in the first place. What would you say if I told you that it's only a matter of time until commercial space travel becomes something more accessible to the world's population? Can you imagine spending your afternoon orbiting Earth? Well, I'm happy to inform you that these days are approaching faster than you can think, my friend. In 2021, billionaire Jeff Bezos took commercial space travel a step further. He took his rocket ship for a spin that lasted about 10 minutes and 10 seconds. But even though it was a brief trip, it marked a significant moment for the future of space tourism. Bezos had a suborbital flight, which is likely to become more widely available in the near future. These rockets dash to about 60 miles above Earth, where people on board can experience weightlessness and witness extraordinary views of our planet. The rocket won't get higher than that, though. For a while, orbital flights that can reach the International Space Station will still be ridiculously expensive, something along the lines of $55 million. But hey, it's a step-by-step process, isn't it? I say leaving Earth's atmosphere is already pretty neat. Now, in case you haven't been following this news, smart toilets are becoming even smarter by the minute. Fully electronic toilets are a hype that started in Japan, but they are gradually taking over the rest of the world. Westerners who have tried it say those who haven't are seriously losing the opportunity of revolutionizing their bathroom experience. Today, our technological advances have created toilets that play music and those that use UV light to eliminate bacteria. Some of them come equipped with a touchscreen panel that allows you to control the toilet's features. Of course, Such toilets will raise the lid as soon as you approach and then close it themselves after you leave. They auto-flush and heat the seat so that you can sit on a nice warm cushion. What's next, you might ask? Well, keep watching this space. Would you eat your veggies if you knew they came out of a printer? I mean, literally? Today, thanks to 3D technology, some people have been experimenting with printing food. For anything to be made using such a printer, it must come from a mushy paste that can be squeezed from the machine's nozzles. The purpose of printing food has mainly to do with its presentation, like drawing complex geometrical shapes on top of printed cookies and basically turning your food into a piece of modern art. Printers have shown greater precision for this sort of work than human hands. You might have heard of solar panels before, but probably not like this. Let's just say technology has advanced to the point of turning solar panels into tiny solar film cells. If I may, these solar panels resemble old-school camera films. The difference is that these are highly efficient power generators. Such solar film cells are photovoltaic and can produce solar power at a much lower cost and with higher efficiency than the panels we currently use. Some are saying this is solar energy 3.0. Rather sooner than later, these film cells will be used not only to charge phones, but also to power entire buildings and even cities. They occupy very little space and absorb sunlight extremely effectively. Inventions such as these sure do make the future look bright, don't they?
You're flying through space, dodging stars and black holes. Your speed is so great that you can get from one galaxy to another in just a few minutes. Sound far-fetched? Well, all this can become a reality because NASA has already tested the technology that might allow us to travel faster than the speed of light. Let's look at the space fleet people have now. To fly into space, we use conventional rockets carrying tons of fuel and oxygen. These two substances get mixed and ignited. Fire bursts out of the rockets. The exhaust gases move downward, and the rockets move upward, as if pushing off of them. That's how jet propulsion works. This way, we can make the rocket move at almost 5 miles per second. At that speed, you could cross the United States from coast to coast in a mere 8.5 minutes. But if we talk about space, that's very slow. A trip to a neighboring planet, like Mars, takes about 7 months, and a trip to the edge of the solar system would take about 35 years. That's how long it took the Voyager space probe, launched in 1977, to get there. But we want to travel between stars and galaxies, and the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is 4.2 light-years away from our home. That would take about 73,000 years to get there. That's longer than intelligent human civilization has even existed. And if you wanted to travel across the whole Milky Way galaxy, which is 100,000 light-years wide, it would take you about 1.7 trillion years. By comparison, the entire universe is 14 billion years old. People just travel too slowly. But even at the speed of light, it would still take 4.2 years to travel to the nearest star. And you'd spend 2.5 million years to get to the nearby Andromeda galaxy. But we can't accelerate like this. That's because the laws of physics say that an object with mass can't travel at the speed of light. A photon of light has an infinitely small weight. But if you want to accelerate even a tiny grain of sand to that speed, you'd need an infinite amount of energy. Maybe even more than the entire universe has. But scientists might have found a way around the laws of physics. To create thrust, you need to push off of something. Ships need water. Planes push off of the air. Rockets use the fuel they burn. But this thing, the M drive, works in a different way. A powerful magnetron, like the one in your microwave, sends waves into this cone. It's a resonator. It makes the waves inside bounce off of one of the walls and hit the others. As a result, we have a weak force at the narrow end of the cone and a strong force at the wide end. And if we analyze this powerful force, we'll see that it is directed toward the wide end of the cone. So, the thrust will be in the opposite direction. Now, let's make this model much, much larger and put the M drive on a spaceship. The narrow end of the cone faces up. The wide end is turned downward. The magnetron starts to work. The resonator creates thrust, and the rocket takes off. It makes no noise and doesn't emit any harmful gases at all. This mechanism can accelerate the rocket much faster than we do with tons of fuel. In theory, we could even reach the speed of light. Sounds great, but in reality, it isn't. Although the inventor of this device tried to prove the M-Drive works, no independent experiment around the world has shown positive results. NASA sponsored the construction of such a machine in a laboratory, but it didn't create any thrust during the research. Another option that would allow us to travel much faster than the speed of light is the Alcubierre bubble. A Mexican scientist has figured out a way to use the general theory of relativity without breaking the laws of physics. Let's say we have a spaceship on a space-time blanket, and it needs to make a trip to the other end of the blanket. Instead of just moving from point A to point B hundreds of thousands of light years away, the ship starts pulling the blanket toward itself. As the spacecraft folds the blanket, point B moves toward it. Now the ship needs to travel a much shorter distance to point B. It makes a quick trip and then straightens the time-space blanket back to normal. Voila! So such a spaceship doesn't need powerful engines that will burn tons of fuel and oxygen. It would move in a kind of bubble. But the hardest part is creating such a bubble. To do this, we would need an amount of energy roughly equal to the mass energy of all of Jupiter. That's more than we can produce on Earth. And still, scientists are planning to test this technology on a small space probe the size of Voyager. But this experiment might last for decades, or even centuries. Now scientists are trying to reach at least 20% of the speed of light using a laser. And they're planning to get to Proxima Centauri in about 30 years. It's likely to happen like this. A mothership will launch from Earth. It'll carry thousands of fingernail-sized space probes. After reaching orbit, the mothership will launch the probes into space. Each probe will then deploy a sail, a thin, reflective piece of material the size of a parking lot. Then people will focus a powerful laser beam from Earth directly onto the probe's sails. This will give them an acceleration 1,000 times as strong as the acceleration of free fall on Earth. One by one, the probes will launch and head for their destination. We won't even have to maintain that laser beam all the time. If you turn off the engines of a regular ship on the water, it'll start to lose speed due to friction with the water. But space is an almost perfect vacuum. There's literally nothing there. So there's no friction. All we have to do is accelerate the probes to the needed speed. At 20% of the speed of light, these probes could reach the Sun in just 40 minutes. But instead, they will head for the star Proxima Centauri. After about 30 years of travel, 4 more years will pass before we get a signal from the probes. There are several exoplanets in this system, and some scientists hope to find at least traces of life there. But this sail technology can be used in space even without a powerful laser. We can use the sun. If we create a sail the size of a soccer field and unfold it in space, it'll start catching the sun's rays. And since the surface of the sail is reflective, the rays will bounce off the sail. This will create thrust and propel the spacecraft. One disadvantage of this technology is that we can only use it inside the solar system. In cold interstellar space, the sail won't be able to catch the sun's rays or solar wind. Another candidate for faster-than-light travel is an ion thruster. Like a conventional rocket, a spacecraft with ion thrusters would be propelled by gas ejected outward. Only, in this case, the gas would be ejected not because of fuel combustion, but because of an electric field. We'd need to create a powerful electric field inside the engine. Particles of gas passing through this electric field would get accelerated and ejected outside. This would create thrust. And although the acceleration in such an engine would be many times weaker than in a conventional rocket, the ion engine would be able to reach higher speeds. NASA was planning to build an ion-powered spacecraft to fly to Jupiter. Ion engines consume a lot of energy, so the ship was to be equipped with a nuclear reactor and lots of solar panels. 8 large engines were supposed to accelerate the spacecraft to about 56 miles per second. At this speed, the trip from New York to London would take 1 minute. So far, this technology has been actively tested on different space probes, but it can't provide a solution to how to travel faster than the speed of light. Perhaps people will still be able to travel between galaxies in conventional rockets, but they'll need to use some sort of shortcuts called wormholes. So, back to our space-time blanket. Point A lies at one end, and point B is at the other. Instead of traveling across the entire blanket for millions of years, you can simply fold it. Then point B will be right above point A, and you can quickly get there through a short tunnel between them. Such tunnels are called wormholes. Some scientists believe that wormholes can be inside black holes, but there are two problems here. The nearest black hole is 1,500 light-years away, so a trip there would take eons. The second problem is the hole's gravity. Black holes have the strongest gravitational pull of any object in the universe. Their gravity can crush any spacecraft. That's because the gravitational force increases with every inch you move closer to the black hole's center, and the force affecting the nose of the spaceship will be much stronger than the force that affects the tail. The spaceship will stretch out like spaghetti and get torn apart. But there's a theory claiming that a spacecraft or even a person can survive falling into a black hole, but only if the black hole is supermassive, like the ones that lie in the centers of galaxies. They can be millions and billions of times heavier than the sun. But even though they're heavier, they're also bigger in size. This means gravity probably doesn't increase so fast there. You or your spacecraft might not turn into spaghetti, and might even get to see what's at the heart of the black hole. You've been roaming this forest for several days. You want to drink, eat, and sleep. Scary animal screams don't allow you to rest at night. Everything around is damp, and you feel extremely cold. There's no hope, but you keep walking through the bushes. Suddenly, you see some movement out of the corner of your eye. Over there, behind the trees. What is it? A bear? Panther? Couple of wolves? The last thing you want to meet is one of these dangerous guys. But no, these are the rescue robots they've been talking about on TV. Several dozen machines fill the clearing. They look like dog-sized spiders. This shape helps the robots climb trees and reach mountaintops. Their bodies can withstand falls from big heights, deal with wild animals, fire, and water. These mechanical spiders have found you, thanks to their motion sensors and modern thermal imagers. That's what the robots of the future will look like. And here are some robots of today. Meet a soft robotic pillow with a tail. It can move and curl its tail when you touch it. What's our next goal? Mars colonization? Ha! Excellent! We're ready! I'll just go get my pillow. How likely is it that you'll want to eat a tomato while jogging? Let's admit it, the chances are probably very small. And still, Japanese designers have built the Tomaten robot. You're supposed to wear it on your back like a backpack. During a run, you only need to press a special lever, and the robot will bring a tomato toward your mouth. All that's left for you to do is just bite into it. In the middle of the 20th century, chemists William Larson and Anthony Finelli came up with the idea of a tubeless tire. It could be painted red, yellow, or green. The tire was semi-transparent. Engineers put 18 light bulbs inside it. The tire creators decided that people would surely like their idea. After all, they could make the color of the wheels match the color of their clothes. Unfortunately, the glowing tires never went on sale. They were beautiful, but not practical whatsoever. If you always bring your smartphone along while taking a bath, this invention is for you. That's a stylus that gets attached to your nose. You can use it to touch the screen when your fingers are wet. This gadget's creator is sure that the invention will make you more productive. And I think the stylus might keep your smartphone dry, but it'll definitely make your neck ache. How about a butter applicator in the form of a glue stick? With this invention, making sandwiches in the morning will become so much easier. The main challenge is not to confuse it with a real glue stick. Bacon lip balm is a great addition to the butter sticks. This product is already being sold online. Imagine rubbing your lips with a piece of fried bacon before going out. Not really my thing, but tastes differ. Here's an instruction on how to make the most unusual transport in human history. Step 1. Put some rails on the ground. Step 2. Put a treadmill on them. Step 3. Make horses run on this treadmill. This is a real transport that was constructed in 1850 and named Impulsoria. Surprisingly, it did work. The locomotive could move at a speed of 7 miles per hour and pull 20 wagons. But trains with steam engines turned out to be more convenient. In 1975, Gary Dahl, who worked in advertising, came up with an ingenious plan. He started selling smooth stones from one of Mexico's beaches as pets. People liked his idea. You don't have to go for a walk in the park with a stone. It doesn't bark in the morning, You don't need to feed it. The stone just lies on your shelf, looking pretty. Cool, huh? The entrepreneur sold 1 million pet rocks for $4 each. In the 21st century, a USB cable was added to the stone. You connect your pet to your computer and nothing happens. Juicero engineers came up with a curious thing. This machine was supposed to squeeze juice out of juice boxes. They planned to sell the devices for $400 each. The engineers spent $120 million, only to realize that any user could do the same thing as the device with their 2 hands. The only difference was that the machine had Wi-Fi. Bananas are delicious and convenient. Thanks to their dense skin, they don't break when you carry them with you. But for some people, this natural protection just doesn't seem to be enough. They don't like brownish marks on the yellow peel. Especially for them, one of the main inventions of the 21st century. This is a banana suitcase. The container will protect your banana from the dangers following it everywhere. How can you get your cat to work off the money you spend on its food? Let it clean the room while you're away. Japanese engineers came up with cat duster slippers. The cat walks on the floor and rids your home of dust at the same time. But I'm not sure your pet will like this idea. Hugs are very beneficial to health. They relieve stress and help your body produce endorphins, the hormone of happiness. But let's say you're far away from your relatives and friends, but you feel the need to hug someone. Good thing scientists have built a robot named HuggyBot. As tall as a human, it's soft and knows how to smile. This robot is made just for hugs. You just have to ask, and it'll gently hug you. Aww. When it comes to doing sports, bicycles are great. They help you burn calories, but you don't get as tired as after running. Maybe that's what inspired the creators of the mechanism known as the Fliz. They've made a bike that has neither pedals nor a saddle. You attach yourself to the bicycle's frame, and then you half walk, half run by pushing yourself off the ground with your feet. A monowheel was invented in 1869, which makes it 36 years older than the first pizzeria in the United States. The monowheel looks cool, but not everyone will dare to ride it. The driver can hardly see the road, and the transport itself is rather unstable while moving. These baggy jeans combine the world of fashion and the world of technology. Their front part has a built-in keyboard. It's connected to a computer via Bluetooth. But that's not all. The jeans are equipped with speakers located on the knees. The whole thing is sold with a wireless mouse stored in the back pocket. Wearing these jeans might prove to be challenging though. You sit down on a chair and your computer goes crazy. It turns out you've simultaneously pressed all the keys on the keyboard. Attention! Here's some important information for camping lovers. No more need to go to the forest carrying a heavy backpack with a tent behind your back. Australian design company Sibling decided to make your life easier. They sewed pockets to special sneakers and tucked a tourist tent inside. The only drawback, the frame of this shelter is your back and shoulders. Cooking and car exhaust, a bizarre combo. This invention is called the Car Exhaust Burger Grill. Attach the device to the exhaust pipe of your car and put a raw patty in it. As you drive down the highway, the hot exhaust gas is cooking your burger. But isn't smoke harmful to human health? Well, the designers thought of this too. That's why they completely isolated the pocket that's holding the patty. The greenhouse helmet was patented in 1986. Imagine a plastic aquarium with several shelves of plant pots. This so-called aquarium is put on your head, and it allows you to breathe fresh, clean air when you're walking through the center of a big city. If you need to talk to people, you can use the helmet's two-way communication system. I wonder if the helmet's instruction manual mentions that it's prohibited to plant cacti inside. This gift is perfect for people who like searching for artifacts on the beach. A metal detector was added to good old sandals. Now you can walk along the sea and discover coins in the sand without too much effort. This strange headgear is likely to solve the main problem of humanity, which is how to stop losing the TV or air conditioning remote control. Several Velcro straps are attached to the invention. They can easily hold a small portable device. The only problem? You look kind of weird. Some people might find it too much work to stick out their tongues and lick ice cream. Especially for them, engineers came up with the motorized ice cream cone holder. The creators of this device claim that thanks to its gentle spinning, each side of the sweet treat will receive your equal attention. Plus, it'll protect your hands from sticky stuff dripping down your fingers. The newest toy for dogs and other animals looks like a stick and can be made of plastic, rubber, or wood. It's still unclear why the inventors weren't satisfied with regular sticks from the forest. I'm pretty sure your dog won't know the difference.
You're shopping for a bike, and the friendly salesperson offers you to test the prototype for a new model using new technology straight out of space. It turns out you're already using some interstellar inventions on a daily basis. Regular inflatable rubber tires can't do so well on the perilous, rocky, and sandy terrains of the Moon or Mars. Curiosity Mars rover got some damage to its treads just 16 months into its mission. That's why airless tires relying on a mix of nickel and titanium were invented for NASA rovers. The material is flexible thanks to its tight molecular structure and can return to its original shape every time it deforms. The same airless technology should work great with bike tires down on Earth. The tires are tube-shaped and squash down whenever you roll over a bump. They will develop perfect shape memory over time. They're supposed to work best on gravel, trail, and mountain bikes. When it wears off eventually, the company plans to retread the tires to get the bike back on the trail and to make it last for years. The previous airless tire models were made of patented foam, supposed to last for up to 5,000 miles. They didn't take off because they made the bike too heavy. The new model is supposed to solve that problem and give the world innovative, lightweight, and durable tires. The same tech can be used in an all-terrain car and truck tires, high-performance sports, commercial aircraft, and even search and rescue missions. You gotta thank NASA for that comfy memory foam mattress you're using every night. Back in 1966, the original idea behind memory foam was to customize seats for astronauts to somehow ease the effects of G-force on takeoff and landing. It would be too impractical to create a custom seat for every flight, so memory foam became a perfect solution. It easily adjusted to an astronaut's body shape and went back into a rest state when not in use. Memory foam became available to the general public in the early 1980s and is now used in products from mattresses and pillows to amusement park rides, horseback saddles, and football helmet liners. Lenses used to be made of ground and polished glass. In 1972, a new regulation made their manufacturers turn to plastic to make them shatter-resistant. The new lenses were too prone to scratching, so NASA's invention of a diamond hard coating for astronaut helmets and other plastic aerospace equipment came in handy. The new tech was further developed and used for the production of scratch-resistant plastics. It's now used in most sunglasses, prescription lenses, and safety lenses in the US and around the world. The next time you clean your car's interior with a dustbuster, remember, you gotta thank NASA and their Apollo space mission for it. They wanted to come up with some portable self-contained drill to extract samples from below the moon's surface. They developed a computer program to produce optimal motor power and minimize power consumption. This program was later adapted and used to create a whole series of useful battery-powered home devices. The most famous of them was the cordless miniature vacuum cleaner under the original name of Dustbuster. In case you didn't trust the name, space blankets are indeed a product of NASA research. They're lightweight, usually gold or silver in color, and capable of reflecting up to 97% of radiated heat. That's just what you need to reduce heat loss from the body and stay warm and comfy in space. The material was originally designed for the exterior surfaces of spacecraft. Now you can see marathon runners at the end of the race wrapping themselves in those blankets to regulate body temperature. It normally drops right after you stop running. Another NASA invention is insulation called Radiant Barrier, made from aluminized polyester. It was designed to survive in wildly cold space temperatures and is now used in most home insulation. Freeze-drying tech for food was not created but greatly improved by NASA to pack more snacks on long Apollo missions. The idea is to cook food, then freeze it under low pressure, and then slowly heat it in a vacuum chamber to remove ice crystals. To bring it back to normal, you just have to add water. Thanks to this tech, food maintains 98% of its nutritional value with only 20% of its original weight. It's a great help for backpackers, disaster relief programs, and anyone who needs to pack light and still get proper nutrition. The infrared thermometer that lets us check temperature from a distance was developed with the support of NASA as well. It measures thermal radiation emitted by your eardrum a lot like they measure the temperature of stars and planets. Each device has a lens that focuses light from the object onto a special detector that converts radiation into an electrical signal and then into temperature you can see on a display. It's used for many purposes, from monitoring hotspot temperatures in mechanical and electrical systems to checking the temperature of visitors in public spaces. In the early 1960s, headsets for airline pilots used to be really bulky. They often used handheld mics to communicate. NASA needed a more reliable and lightweight technology for their missions to ensure communication, especially in case of emergencies. They got in touch with the pilots. Just 11 days later, the team came up with a microphone headset unit that could be used by astronauts to communicate with one another and with Earth. The headset was later improved and used for Mercury and Apollo missions. The world was able to hear Neil Armstrong's most famous phrase as he landed on the moon, thanks to that wireless headset. You gotta thank NASA for the improved version you use today. The idea behind LED technology dates back to the late 1980s. Back then, NASA was looking for a way to grow plants in space. They tested the tech using wheat and just red LEDs. It wasn't a success at first, but they solved the problem using blue fluorescent lights. The technology was developed and used in many medical devices and everyday items like electricity-saving LED bulbs. These days, they're way more efficient than their ancestors. Every time you take a selfie with your friends, you're using the tech that originated from the one for interplanetary missions cameras. NASA scientist Dr. Eric Fossum developed special active pixel sensors to make those cameras as small as possible and maintain the high image quality. This tech has become the leading one in the digital imaging industry. It made it possible to add miniature cameras to smartphones and other gadgets. Astronauts spend long periods of time in weightlessness and need a way to exercise regularly to stay in good physical shape. NASA took care of it and designed the anti-gravity treadmill, stimulating added weight and mimicking gravity. On Earth, the same method helps to lighten the load on your legs as you're working out. This tech is used by professional athletes and people trying to get back on their feet. You gotta thank NASA for your favorite pair of athletic shoes. They came up with a rubber molding process to absorb shock in space helmets and suits. The same idea was applied to athletic footwear and opened up new possibilities for professional sportsmen. And they're just way comfier for everyday use. The computer mouse was invented as part of a huge project aimed at augmenting human intellect. The inventors came to NASA in 1966 to test the mouse. It turned out the mouse was better and faster at manipulating objects on the screen than other gadgets like the light pen. The first mouse came with a cord in the front, but they moved it to the back to get it out of the way. The first patent for something that looked and worked like a joystick was filed in 1923. But it was NASA who made it something widely used. Astronauts in bulky suits needed a steering mechanism that would work with one gloved hand. The joystick was the best choice that spread to training simulators for astronauts and home computers. Invisible braces are a product of Ceradyne and NASA's Advanced Ceramics Research Program. You probably use them to straighten your teeth, but the original idea behind them was to find some material to use in structures protecting radar equipment. It had to be as transparent as possible for radar waves to pass through easily. It was doing well at its job, and in 1986, they got the idea to use this transparent and strong material in the dental industry.
A huge train is rushing down the tracks, brakes screeching. In a few seconds, a 1,000-ton steel battering ram will crash into a bus that is stuck on the railroad crossing. Only a miracle can save the people. Wait, what's that? Moments before the collision, a human figure appears. The person's flying off the nearby mountain with a jetpack behind their back. Their body is protected by an exoskeleton. The suit is similar to the armor of a knight and makes a person incredibly strong. They land in front of the train and press their hands on its front. The exoskeleton absorbs the impact. Wheels screech like crazy. Then, a loud whistling squeal. And, just a few feet away from the bus, the train finally stops. The bus doors aren't working. People can't get out of it. the hero produces a lightsaber from their belt and cuts a new door. This scenario might seem too fantastic, but a lot of cool things previously seen only in comics and movies are now reality. Sarcos Robotics exoskeleton makes the operator 20 times stronger, reduces the likelihood of injury, and doesn't restrain movement. This model is just one of many examples. In the near future, these mechanisms will appear on the streets and will become as familiar as flying drones or hoverboards. In such a suit, you can both rescue people and lift a fridge upstairs alone. But the armor seems incomplete if it can't fly. Richard Browning is the founder of Gravity Industries, a company developing jetpacks. He's also the chief test pilot. His apparatus consists of a large jet engine behind the back and two smaller ones on either arm. The person dressed in it looks like a character in a sci-fi action movie. If you weigh less than 200 pounds, this backpack will let you fly. The catch? Right now, it costs $440,000 to make one. The lightsaber is what fun science means. Several generations of scientists, bloggers, and Jedi fans are trying to create their trademark. The main contender for a lightsaber is high-energy plasma. The strength of the magnetic field will help the plasma keep its shape in the air. But there's a problem. To make the saber work, you'll need to carry a lot of equipment with you. And let's not forget about the ultraviolet radiation and heat that comes from hot plasma. The burner metal vapor torch is currently the best alternative to the Jedi sword. This device cuts through a metal door in a few seconds, but fencing with a torch won't work. The cloak that makes a person invisible is no longer a fantasy. Canadian company Hyper Stealth Biotechnology Corp has developed a fabric that will make you disappear. There's no magic in the work of the cloak, just good old physics. This cloak of invisibility creates an optical illusion that hides you from prying eyes. Since 1985, the hoverboard got lots of attention from people all over the world, and inventors have been trying to recreate this design for decades. Many companies have developed their own flying skateboard designs. There's a hoverboard powered by a stream of water, burning kerosene, electricity, or rotating propellers. ARC's Pax Hendo is the closest to its sci-fi prototype. The model can fly in all directions, turn, and brake. This is possible due to two magnetic fields that repel each other. In 1947, US engineers looked at the car and decided it was boring. Or maybe we can make it fly. Great idea, that. The result of their work was the Model 118 Conv Air Car. Roughly speaking, they took a passenger car and attached a plane with a propeller to its roof. Companies around the world continue to invest millions of dollars in the flying car project, although their cars today look more like drones or helicopters. Many researchers are confident we'll never build a flying car. It's too expensive and dangerous. Who knows? In the 19th century, people said these four-wheeled carts would never replace a horse. But today, a comfortable ride on the highway always beats riding a horse in the prairie. While engineers are trying to get cars to fly, their colleagues have made it so that transport doesn't need a driver anymore. The computer takes over the controls. If you need to go to a supermarket or restaurant, your self-driving car will choose the best route itself. It also knows how to park. I should have started with this. The car distinguishes between other road users thanks to sensors, video cameras, and powerful computer processors. It notices traffic signals and road signs. The Robo-Taxi project is one of the most promising ones in the field. Most likely, in the next 10 to 20 years, driving schools will become a thing of the past. For thousands of years, ancient people sat by fires and looked at the starry sky. Our civilization has already explored space firsthand, but there are still more questions than answers. There have been 600 astronauts in space in 60 years. Of these, 7 people are tourists who have visited the International Space Station. For the right to see our planet from a height of 250 miles, you have to pay $50 million. SpaceX and its owner Elon Musk are willing to establish a colony on Mars by 2050. 1 million people will settle in the first ever Martian city. You don't have to get on board a spaceship to feel like you're on another planet. 80% of the world's oceans are unexplored and unmapped. Marine vessel manufacturers offer to explore the seabed in comfort. To this end, they've developed submarine yacht designs that combine comfort and safety. The private submarine Migaloo M5 is as long as the Washington Monument is tall, and it can stay underwater for 4 weeks. The set includes a hangar with a helicopter, jet skis, and mini bath escapes. There are no buyers yet, but it's only a matter of time. Imagine that you're a scuba diver who descended to the bottom of the ocean. There's darkness all around you, but the flashlight can handle it. You breathe liquid that fills your helmet up to your eyes. Wait, what? We can't breathe water or, for example, soda because these substances don't have enough oxygen, not because they're liquid. In the future, scuba divers will breathe liquid enriched with oxygen. It'll also allow for deep diving. American company Second Sight Medical Products has developed an artificial eye that can restore vision to a blind person. It's called Argus 2. It's actually an electronic retinal implant and the first step in creating the bionic eye. Perhaps in the future, it'll be able to zoom in and out of objects, make the image clear, or turn on infrared light. Augmented reality glasses haven't reached technical perfection yet. Most futurists are confident they'll change our world, just like the internet did. Why do you need a TV or computer? At your command, the glasses will lower a virtual screen of any size in front of you with your favorite TV series. The same applies to furniture, clothing, and dishes. All this will be replaced by virtual stuff. Augmented reality glasses digitize any item that surrounds you and makes it look how you want it to. Unless you take them off, of course. Today, you have a Mediterranean landscape out your window, and tomorrow, you've got a view of Times Square. Hard drives and computer optical drives store enormous amounts of data, but this technology is unreliable. Over time, disks become unreadable. Scientists have almost solved this problem. They learned how to write electronic data into the DNA of living bacteria. Biological processes take place inside every living cell. Scientists have managed to program them using computer systems methods. Nanobots will appear in the next 10 years. In movies and comics, villains are most often associated with this technology. In the real world, nanobots will be used in medicine. Each robot is no larger than a molecule. By launching a flock of nanobots into the human body, doctors will be able to monitor the health and physical condition of their patients. And probably the best thing about nanobots is that they can be 3D printed. Cloning a dinosaur might not seem like a good idea in movies, but real scientists say it's not even an option. Genes can be used for cloning if they're no more than 1 million years old, and dinosaurs disappeared 65 million years ago. But there are other animals as well. There's a high probability that mammoths will reappear on Earth in the next 50 years, as well as woolly rhinoceroses and even saber-toothed tigers. Scientists plan to implant genetic material of extinct animals into the DNA of existing ones, elephants, rhinos, and tigers. In sci-fi movies, we often see spaceships and stations shooting colorful beams into space that attract other ships. Australian scientists have managed to create such a beam, only it's invisible. Their beam is capable of capturing and holding atoms floating in a vacuum. Of course, these aren't huge space stations yet, but this is a big step in the study of physics. Scientists have created a quantum funnel that will allow studying the individual atoms and molecules that make up everything around.
Over 100 years ago, an 11-year-old boy left his drink on a porch during a cold night. The glass was filled with powdered soda dissolved in water and a stirring stick to mix it up. 20 years later, Frank Epperson, that very forgetful boy, presented his accidental invention, the popsicle, in a California park. There's no record of the original popsicle flavor, But among the very first were cherry, the most popular one, lemon, orange, banana, watermelon, grape, and even root beer. Chocolate chip cookies are somewhat younger than popsicles, having been invented in the 1930s. Ruth Wakefield, the owner of a popular restaurant named the Toll House Inn, is considered to be the inventor of these scrumptious cookies. There are various stories behind this invention. One story claims that Ruth ran out of baker's chocolate and decided to replace it with some basic semi-sweet chocolate, expecting it would melt completely, but it didn't. Another story says some chocolate just accidentally fell into the batter. Ruth denied the accidental origin of her cookies, claiming that it was all done deliberately. There are many legends behind the creation of the potato chip. One claims they were invented in 1853 by a chef at a luxurious New York restaurant. French fries were one of the specials at this restaurant, and people seemed to love them. But there was one customer who wasn't satisfied with the quality, complaining they were too thick. When the chef, George Crumb, not crummy at all, cooked thinner French fries, the picky customer complained again. George deliberately made his next batch of fries paper thin. These fries were so thin, it was impossible to eat them with cutlery. Surprisingly, the finicky eater loved the dish. The chips recipe spread, and within a few decades, potato chips could be found in all the American grocery stores, turning from a hot dish to a fast snack. Worcestershire sauce is another product that wasn't invented deliberately. Two English chemists, John Willie Lee and William Henry Perrins, simply forgot about some barrels in the pharmacy basement for a couple of years. The first mixture they had made was totally inedible due to super strong flavor. But when they forgot some barrel of the mixture in the basement, it became fermented. When the chemists rediscovered the barrels and were curious to try it, they found that the taste had mellowed. This condiment is now used to intensify even those dishes that originally didn't have it. For example, chili con carne. Worcestershire sauce is part of the fifth flavor, umami, or savoriness, which explains its rich taste. Tofu, or bean curd, was invented centuries ago. One of its origin theories is that tofu was first created by a Chinese prince. Another theory claims that tofu appeared as a result of mixing boiled ground beans and sea salt. The salt was quite impure and probably contained calcium and magnesium. These ingredients let the bean mixture produce its curd-like consistency. One more legend says that some nigiri, a sort of evaporated sea salt, was accidentally dropped into soy milk. Today, doctors tell you to stay away from Coca-Cola, but it was surprisingly invented by John Pemberton, who had a medical degree and was a pharmacist. Pemberton's French wine coca was initially used as a remedy for severe pains, headache, and as a nerve tonic. In 1886, a prohibition law was introduced, and John had to change the recipe to remove the alcohol. One thing was left unchanged though, the cola nut that gave the drink its trademark flavor. Some legends say that John only accidentally added carbonated water to the new recipe, but in fact, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. Pemberton thought bubbles were a savory alternative to alcohol. John's Cola is definitely the Coke precursor, but today's drink differs from the original Pemberton's recipe. The sandwich was invented by accident too. Back in the 1700s, John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, ordered his valet to make him a simple dish that could be eaten with no cutlery at all. He asked the valet to tuck some meat in between 2 loaves of bread. Lord Sandwich was particularly addicted to playing cards, and this dish let him eat without stopping the game. The cards didn't get greasy either. People started asking to bring the same as sandwich to their games, and soon the dish had its common name. The tomato ketchup we eat today is such a modified version that it actually has nothing to do with original ketchup recipe. You can trace its roots back to the 17th century, when the Chinese mixed pickled fish and spices, calling it a word that sounded a bit like ketchup, and which meant the brine of pickled fish. The English first tried this sauce about 100 years later. The British version featured mushrooms, shallots, and even walnuts. Later, the word ketchup changed its meaning and could be used for any dark-colored sauce. The first tomato ketchup had anchovies among its ingredients, which hints back to its relation to the Chinese fish sauce. Nachos aren't some ancient Mexican food. They were invented less than 100 years ago. Ignacio Anaya, nicknamed Nacho, is said to have invented this dish in the 1940s. Ignacio was a chef, and one day a regular customer asked if Ignacio could bring her and her 3 friends something different as a snack. He saw how hungry the ladies were and decided to cook something quick for them. He had to improvise using available ingredients. So, he grabbed some fried tortillas, grated loads of cheese on top of them, and heated the dish from above. To make the dish more savory, he added some jalapeno peppers on top. The very regular customer asked the name of the unusual snack. Ignacio didn't think long and said, "Nacho Special." Cheese puffs used to be a waste product in the 1930s. Edward Wilson noticed some oozing corn in one of the machines at a factory that produced flake food for animals. Those ribbons seemed interesting, so Edward decided to take them home and try to season them. He also noticed that the puffy corn hardened if it was exposed to air. The experiment turned out to be a success, so it was later developed into a world-famous snack. Now, instant noodles weren't invented by mistake, but there were several mistakes while inventing them. The main idea was to create something with a long shelf life. After several unsuccessful attempts, Momofuku Ando invented the method of preserving the noodles. They were processed in various ways, like steamed, dehydrated, fried in hot oil, and seasoned. And instant noodles used to be a luxury product, since they cost way more than the fresh noodles everyone was used to. Another product that was invented unwittingly is yogurt. It first appeared in Central Asia thousands of years ago. Some herders stored milk in a place with an abundance of bacteria without knowing it. The milk was fermented, and it resulted in a thicker texture and flavor change. One of the herders wasn't scared of that kind of dish and tried it. Nothing bad happened to him, so other people started eating it too. Today, pink lemonade has that nice color because of grape juice or added colorants. But there are 2 legends of how it was invented, and both feature circus workers. The first story alleges that Henry Allott, who worked in a circus, unwittingly dropped a few red cinnamon candies in the lemonade, which gave it that vibrant pink color. The other story is gross. It claims that circus worker Pete Conklin one day ran out of water for lemonade and instead used the water from the tub where one of his colleagues had washed her red stockings. The color of the pants turned the water pink. Pete added some sugar, slices of lemon, and acid. He called it strawberry lemonade. The customers liked it a lot, and his sales doubled. Yes, the people were panting for the stuff. The tarte tatin, which is a caramelized upside-down version of an apple pie, was cooked for the very first time by mistake. 2 sisters, Stephanie and Carolyn Tatin, ran a hotel in the 1800s. One day, Stephanie wanted to cook a simple apple pie, but she stewed the apples in butter for too long. To conceal her mistake, she put the crust on top of the apples and put it in the oven. When she took the pie out of the oven, she noticed several burn marks. It was a bad cooking day. She didn't want the guests to notice, so she flipped the pie over and presented it as a brand new recipe. Surprisingly, the guests just loved the pie, which soon became their signature dessert. Okay, gotta go. I'm really hungry.
Can we power spaceships using black holes? Kinda. Exploring our galaxy is a bit problematic. Our fastest spacecraft ever, NASA's Parker Solar Probe, only travels at about 0.06% the speed of light. So it would take around 7,700 years for us to reach even our closest neighbor star, Proxima Centauri. Therefore, we need to find a way to achieve super high velocity without wasting too much fuel. Why don't we consider powering spacecraft using radiation from black holes? Natural black holes are too massive for us to harness. However, during the early stages of the universe, there might have been very small black holes known as primordial ones. Perhaps we could attempt to recreate them. In order to do so, we would need to concentrate a massive amount of energy on a minuscule point. Imagine a mass of about 1,000,000 tons with a radius of a few attometers. Scientists have devised a method to accomplish this. By collecting a vast amount of the sun's energy using solar panels, directing it towards a single point, surrounding it with collectors to capture the emitted energy, and utilizing its radiation to power a spaceship. What a brilliant plan! As for the implementation, we'll have to wait and see how it unfolds. Scientists in Japan have developed artificial wombs that can nurture premature baby sharks. They help embryos to be prepared to be born properly. These artificial wombs can power little sharks for almost a year. This is much longer than their previous record of 160 days. The invention actually works. Some embryos grew from 1.2 to almost 6 inches, which is their natural birth size. Premature sharks are very vulnerable because the seawater is too salty for their little bodies. This is especially dangerous for viviparous sharks because their young ones are born without a protective shell. So what scientists did is they put them in these containers and started slowly decreasing natural fluids and gradually increasing the seawater until babies got used to the salt. The results are still not perfect though. Out of 33 embryos, only 3 reached birth size. However, these 3 are healthy and now live like any normal baby shark. They munched on some minced mackerel and shrimp and behaved typically for their age. The end goal of all this research, of course, is to develop more universal systems for wider use. Sensing a hug over the internet might soon be possible. Using e-skin. Researchers at City University of Hong Kong have developed a wireless, soft e-skin that can detect and deliver the sense of touch. This creates a touch network for multi-user interaction. The e-skin can both sense touch and imitate it. We had similar technologies like that before, with VR for example, but not both of them at the same time. Here's how it works. You press an actuator, and it generates an electrical signal. This signal is converted into a digital signal by an analog to digital converter. Then it's sent via Bluetooth to another e-skin. The receiving e-skin converts the signal back into an electrical current and it recreates the touch sensation through vibrations. Finally, long-distance friends and family could use technology to feel each other. This technology might also help visually impaired people with directions and reading Braille messages. Now, imagine being able to 3D print literal bones. This is a new technology that helps us create synthetic bones with living cells. It uses a special ink that mimics natural bone. First, you create a model, like a custom bone design. Then the printer uses ceramic ink in a gelatin bath, extruding it layer by layer. You 3D print this thing at room temperature. Then, the printed bone material hardens and integrates with existing bone tissue, and voila! Still, there are some problems left to solve. For example, make sure that there won't be any immune reactions, make the material stronger, and so on. By the way, in Mumbai, there's a startup that has created helpful 3D models of organs for over 1,200 operations already. And the technology will only keep improving. The next goals are to add blood vessels to ensure nutrients and oxygen reach the tissue and develop smart materials that will change depending on the environment. In the future, you might have a digital copy of your body to track your health. A digital twin is a virtual model of a physical object that not only looks like the object, but also behaves like it. To be fair, it doesn't have to be a full-blown copy of you. It can be something simple, like a copy of a heart. Unlike a simple 3D model, a digital twin must show how all parts of the object interact with each other. It will show all components and their interactions, not just the shape or appearance. Looking at them will help doctors understand and improve health outcomes better by tweaking random parameters and seeing how the condition changes. For example, recently, researchers created digital twins of patients' hearts. The model showed the heart's structure and damage, things like scars and all that. They also had a simulation of the heart's electrical activity.
They tried sending signals through the digital twin, looked at how it behaved, and were able to predict issues like arrhythmias. What if your walls could eat sunlight during the day and use the accumulated energy to power the building at night? Buildings literally powering themselves? Check out the energy-storing bricks. They can be built in walls among regular bricks, capture extra renewable energy, stabilize the power grid, and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. They use a type of concrete that can store electricity and power devices. These bricks can turn the red pigment in standard bricks into conductive plastic, which can store and release tons of charge. Pair them with solar panels and voila! Lots of clean energy, which also works even in case of power outage. And they're pretty affordable as well. People could also use them to create portable and flexible devices powered by these bricks, such as wearable electronics, sensors, or displays that attach to clothes and stuff. Potentially, these bricks could be 3D printed and mass-produced. China has developed a groundbreaking car battery that can get fully charged in just 10 minutes. Moreover, it could power a car for hundreds of miles before needing to be plugged in again, all thanks to recent great advancements in chemistry. Chemists found a way to store much more energy. The latest batteries can enable cars to travel 250 miles on a single charge, and newer versions can achieve up to 600 miles per charge. In the future, this could make electric cars much more efficient and convenient. You'd think it sounds nice and dandy, but there's a catch. If there are any disruptions due to extreme weather, trade disputes, or anything else, people will be screwed. It's not like you can go and ask your neighbor to lend you gasoline. Electric cars might not be able to get the batteries they need. Anyone who drives an electric car to work would be stuck, and the prices would skyrocket. There's also a weird type of battery that is made of sand. Finnish engineers filled a large steel container measuring 13 by 23 feet with 100 tons of sand. They then heated the sand using wind and solar energy. This method allows energy to be stored for months. In a battery like this, electricity used to heat air in a special system of pipes. The hot air then flows through these pipes to warm up the sand. This generated heat can be used as energy. This is called resistive heating. Sometimes, new technologies can be both amazing and a little creepy. That's definitely the case with necrobiotics. This involves turning things that passed away into robots. It might sound like a horror movie plot, but researchers at Rice University think it will be super useful. A team at Rice University has turned a deceased spider into a robot-like gripper that can pick up objects. They do this by injecting air into the spider. Spiders use hydraulics to move their limbs, forcing their version of blood into their legs to make them extend. These necrobiotic grippers could be used in delicate tasks where traditional robotic parts might be too bulky or rough.
So your phone needs an entire night to charge. Bummer, right? A cool Indian origin researcher has you covered. He's discovered a super speedy way to charge your laptops and phones in just 1 minute. Imagine a battery getting fully juiced while you're brushing your teeth. Not only that, but you can also juice up your electric car in just 10 minutes. Ankar Gupta, the brain behind this discovery, along with his team of researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder, found a way to make charged particles move really fast through tiny pores. This breakthrough can lead to the creation of super-efficient energy storage devices called supercapacitors. Not only do they charge up super quickly, but they also last longer than regular batteries. According to specialists, the magic lies in the efficient movement of ions. Samsung is gearing up to introduce a game-changer. Meet Bali, a cool spherical home robot designed to win over even the toughest skeptics who could use a helping hand around the house. In the past, Samsung teased us with a peek at what was to come, dropping hints about Bali way back in 2020. But the wait is finally over, as they can take the plunge into creating a robot that's an all-around home assistant. Samsung promises that you can get your very own Bali buddy in 2024. There are no firm details on pricing yet, but they're cutting us some slack by making all of Bali's features subscription-free. However, Samsung isn't alone in the quest for a spot in your living room. LG is hot on their heels, boasting about their own companion robot set to make its grand entrance in 2025. The Squad Solar City car might be the coolest ride in town. This innovative vehicle is the world's first solar-powered car designed for urban and suburban mobility. It's the perfect solution for tackling emissions and congestion in the city, whether you're sharing it with friends or cruising around solo. Imagine the ease of a moped combined with all the comforts and security of a car. That's what Squad offers. Also, say goodbye to parking headaches, traffic jams, and congestion charges. This ride is a significant change. Squad charges itself using solar energy, making it environmentally friendly and cost-effective. With its sleek design and compact size, parking is a breeze. You can fit 3 Squads in the space of one regular car. Plus, with swappable batteries and loads of storage space, this car is as practical as it is fun. I bet there's one thing your body does that you definitely take for granted, and it's going number 1. I'm talking about that mechanism we've got that helps us know exactly when it's time to go number 1. However, for some folks with spinal cord injuries or conditions like multiple sclerosis, that connection between the brain and the bladder can get a bit wonky, causing all sorts of issues. ManyThings, a cool company from South Korea, has produced a solution that's sure to save the day. They've created a nifty wearable patch that uses near-infrared technology to peer into your bladder and give you a heads up when it's time to hit the restroom. The person wearing it will just get a friendly reminder via a phone alert. Simply slap on the patch, stick it on your lower abdomen, and let the magic happen. The technology isn't out yet, but they're doing their best to make it hit the market as soon as possible. Now get ready to revolutionize your work-from-home routine with Lifespan's Ampera, the ultimate multitasking marvel for all you Silicon Valley trendsetters out there. Say goodbye to boring desktops and hello to a pedal-powered paradise that not only keeps you active, but also charges up your devices like a boss. Just 30 minutes of pedaling and bam! Your phone is halfway juiced up. And if you feel like really going for it, you can even charge up your laptop by cycling like a pro. This device may look like a funky bar stool with pedals, but it's a game changer for your home office setup. According to Lifespan CEO Jackie Wu, the Ampera is the go-to for people working from home who are tired of being glued to their desk all day. So, how do you feel when you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning? Personally, I usually feel a little grumpy and definitely in need of some caffeine. But now, thanks to the BeMind smart mirror from Paris-based tech company Barracuda, clever name, huh? That morning mirror check can actually be helpful. This magic mirror can analyze your expressions and gestures to figure out how you're feeling, and then offer up some personalized mental health coaching to get you on the right track for the day. With the help of AI and natural language processing, the mirror can provide guided meditations, light therapy, and affirmations to boost your mood. According to Barracuda specialists, this new technology has the potential to improve the quality of millions of lives by monitoring subtle changes in health. And that's not all the mirror can do. It can even help guide you through your morning toothbrushing routine and analyze your skin's needs. But the real question is, can it whip up a cup of coffee? Unfortunately, not yet. But maybe that'll be the next upgrade. Meet Custo, the ultimate smart home parcel box that brings convenience right to your doorstep. Imagine having your very own personal custodian, keeping track of all your incoming and outgoing parcels and alerting you when needed. No need to worry about manual input. Custo opens with just a scan of the parcel's tracking number, thanks to real-time checks with over 1,500 courier APIs. You can easily grant access to family and friends through the mobile app, using unique QR codes for one-time or recurring visits. Plus, rest assured that your smartphone will promptly notify you about every delivery. Taking a leisurely stroll is a fantastic way to get your exercise in. But let's face it, sometimes it's not as easy as it sounds. Whether you're getting up there in age, battling some condition, or just feeling a little weak in the muscles, walking can be a real challenge. Enter Whim, the brainchild of South Korean robotics wizards at Wii Robotics. This nifty little gadget straps around your waist and legs, giving you a 20% boost in energy while you walk. This means you can go further and feel less like collapsing at the end of your jaunt. The AI technology inside analyzes how you walk and even predicts your next move, getting smarter with each step you take. Plus, WIM isn't just for those hardcore athletes or folks with medical needs. It's for anyone who just wants to jazz up their daily stroll. The whole shebang weighs just 3 pounds and folds up into a compact little package that you can toss in your bag. And if you're feeling extra adventurous, WIM has an exercise mode that mimics walking through water, giving your muscles a real workout. Well, it's been a long time since we last saw those old physical keyboards on cell phones because touchscreens took over the industry. But wait! Click's technology has come up with a brilliant solution for those nostalgic BlackBerry fans. This cool iPhone case brings back that classic keyboard feel, thanks to a team of former BlackBerry, Apple, and Google employees. Sure, it may be a little pricey, costing almost $140 and slightly bulky. But who cares when you can type away like it's 2007? Finally, not all the chapsticks are the same. Lip Cure Beam may look like one, but it's the ultimate beauty gadget. This cool contraption does it all, from diagnosing your lips to giving them the TLC they need, and even adding a pop of color with makeup. The sleek Lip Cure Beam cap has a special sensor that analyzes your lips' moisture level in a snap. Once you pop off the cap, you've got a handy makeup tool at your fingertips. With a swish and a swash, you'll be on your way to luscious lips in no time. Made with some fancy light-responsive materials, this nifty gadget works its magic by boosting your lips' natural defenses.
In 1925, magazine publisher Hugo Gernsback created the Isolator, a bizarre-looking helmet for people who need to concentrate properly. Its first version was made using wood and felt. But Gernsback wasn't satisfied since it didn't block all the external sounds as well as he had hoped. Then, he redesigned the device, removing the wood and adding glass so users could see through it. But a problem emerged. The helmet could only be worn for about 15 minutes at a time before the user became drowsy. 38 years later, Gernsback presented the Tell-Eye glasses, a handy, pocket-sized portable TV set. You might find them funny-looking, but to be honest, today's VR goggles are only slightly less geeky. The Tell-Eye glasses weighed about 5 ounces and were built around small cathode ray tubes that ran on low-voltage current from tiny batteries. The device had a separate screen for each eye, which meant it could display stereoscopic images, working pretty much like 3D glasses. Gernsback promised that users faced no danger of being electrocuted, but, well, people didn't take his word for granted. Meet the Beauty Micrometer, also known as the Beauty Calibrator. This 1930s technology definitely looks like a Clockwork Orange device, but it was actually designed to enhance people's beauty. The specialist placed this thing around a person's head, and the flexible metal strips helped calculate facial measurements with great precision. The inventor was particularly focused on 2 measurements. The heights of the nose and forehead should be the same, and the eyes should be separated by the width of one eye. If the Beauty Micrometer spotted an imperfection, they suggested using makeup to correct the situation. So this device was supposed to be a big deal for actresses and actors working in the movie industry, but it was a flop. And it definitely didn't become a nationwide craze. Sheet masks are all about aesthetics nowadays, but they were way more bizarre looking in the past. Take this ice mask created in the 40s by the legendary Max Factor Jr., who basically invented makeup for movie stars. He hoped that actresses would go to great lengths to get a mask like this to reduce facial puffiness, but that really never happened. Some people find those dimples around a smile to be the most charming and attractive thing ever. So, an inventor came up with the Dimple Maker back in 1936, which basically looks like some medieval dental equipment. The instructions were pretty simple. The user should stand in front of a mirror, smile to position the Dimple Maker correctly, and wear it 2 or 3 times a day for 5 minutes each time. The idea was to repeat the process until dimples appeared. But no surprises here, the thing couldn't really make dimples look better or create new ones. In fact, the Medical Association even stated that this device could bring you serious health issues instead of conventional beauty. Even the most experienced men can injure themselves by shaving from time to time. So, probably only the bravest would pay to use this mass shaving machine, which allowed barbers to shave a dozen men simultaneously. This device appeared in a pilot for a TV series in the 60s, but it was invented in the 19th century. Still, the commercial success was never meant to happen, as this machine would simply never adapt to different face shapes. Another dangerous invention was the shoe-fitting fluoroscope. When shopping for shoes, instead of the usual try-on routine, people would step onto this cool machine that uses X-rays to show a real-time moving image of your feet inside the shoes. It's like a high-tech way to make sure your kicks fit just right. It sounds pretty cool, but these machines were actually dangerous since they were blasting out a crazy amount of radiation. I mean, during a quick 20-second view, you'd get a dose way above safe levels. Even though the radiation was aimed at people's feet, a bunch of it would scatter around, exposing everyone nearby. So, salespeople who spent hours around these things were getting a whole year's worth of radiation in just 2 hours. There were reports of injuries, so this invention was finally banned in the 70s. If you've got 2 left feet, you can learn how to dance with YouTube videos, or call your partner to help you out by using these Siamese dancing shoes. This invention made its debut in a 1981 mail-order catalog, intending to help couples stay in sync on the dance floor. But they were more likely to have you both tripping to the ground. Let me introduce you to the auto skates, an invention dating back to the 40s. The inventor used to kickstart the motorized roller skates as if firing up a lawnmower, and they could run up to 160 miles on a single gallon. But they had a little issue with the brakes, which could, not brake at all. So, a co-pilot was necessary there. And by co-pilot, I mean someone brave enough to chill on a little stool behind the driver and help brake using their own feet. If someone needed to take their whole family for a spin, they could just hop on the Goofy bike. This invention, unveiled in Chicago in 1939, was a bike for 4 people that also doubled as a mobile sewing station. When this quirky ride was parked, the sewing machine's legs kept the tall cycle from toppling over. But I wouldn't be so close to it, just in case. The auto skates and the Goofy bike seem like relatively safe ways to get around compared to a barrel. In 1901, a schoolteacher named Annie Edson Taylor celebrated her 63rd birthday by taking a journey down Niagara Falls inside a 5-foot-high wooden pickle barrel. Following her daring feat, 15 copycats tried using the same device to conquer Niagara Falls, but not all of them succeeded. Nowadays, attempting such stunts is prohibited due to the significant risks involved, and the fine is approximately $10,000. Back in 1929, someone apparently thought that wood veneer sheets could be the next big thing in bathing suit materials. They were advertising a kind of DIY and recycling method, and one of the promotional videos featured a girl explaining how she crafted her outfit using leftover veneer from building a house. The funny thing is that they even claimed that, so far, none of the bathing suits had warped or cracked. But let's be real. The wood would need some serious waterproofing to pass the test of time. This invention didn't stick around for too long, probably because they didn't exactly win any awards for the most flattering design. About 10 years later, men were seen rocking periscope top hats in London. This clever invention gave short people a slight boost to peek over heads in large crowds. The images bounced from a mirror at the top of the hat down to another mirror right in front of the eyes through a hole in the brim. But while they seemed a great idea for parades and sporting events, they simply weren't practical in any other situation. Whether you're feeling lazy or tired, there's really no excuse to skip your piano practice, all thanks to this 1935 invention, the foldable piano. The instrument sits at the foot of the bed, and the keyboard can be pulled out like a drawer, bent over on hinges until it's at the right angle for the player's hands. Is it safe though? All it takes is the piano not being totally secure and bam, a disaster is about to happen. Let's say the well-being of kids wasn't exactly a top concern for the minds behind the Mercury Maze. This 1978 invention was a handheld game where kids were supposed to rotate it and tilt the puzzle to guide a silver blob of mercury along a path to the center of the maze. Yes, we're referring to the toxic and health hazardous mercury in a kid's toy. What could possibly go wrong? How much time passed between the inventions of the first computer and the appearance of the modern one? The first electronic computer in history is the ENIAC, Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. It was invented in 1945 by American scientists. But there's an older machine. It's the Babbage difference engine. English engineer Charles Babbage built it in 1822. This means more than 200 years have passed since the first computer, and we would have thought so if, at the beginning of the 20th century, divers hadn't discovered a computer more than 2,000 years old. In 1900, a group of divers searched for sea sponges in the Mediterranean Sea between the island of Crete and mainland Greece. But instead of sponges, they found sunken treasure ships. It was one of the most significant archaeological finds of that time. At the bottom were Greek marble sculptures and many other artifacts. Among them, divers found a strange piece of stone the size of a large book. They ignored it and put it with other finds in the museum. A few months later, archaeologists began to study the block and discovered that a strange object with bronze gears was hidden inside it. This shocked all scientists because, according to historical data, such things could not exist in ancient Greece. The technologies of that time were not so developed. Scientists started studying this object and realized they had no idea what it was. They called it the Antikythera mechanism, and they had been trying to unravel its purpose for over 100 years. The fragility of the object added complexity. It had been underwater for a millennia. Its internal instruments were damaged, and when scientists touched them, they fell apart. Over many years of research, the object has split into 82 fragments, becoming a real puzzle for scientists worldwide. They found out that it was a machine designed for astronomical calculations. With the help of X-rays, computer tomography, and virtual modeling, people could partially recreate the image of the mechanism. It was a complex structure consisting of 30 rotating gears that turned the dial. The whole mechanism was set in motion with a hand crank. All this was necessary for the ancient Greeks to track the positions of the moon and the sun and calculate the time of eclipses and the Olympic Games. It's as if Silicon Valley was in ancient Greece and the best minds united to create a revolutionary startup. The Antikythera mechanism showed that people in the distant past had excellent knowledge of astronomy and technologies for studying the starry sky. Considering that time, it was not just a machine, but a supercomputer. People entered data into it and got the result after the complex calculations it performed. In 2016, scientists found an inscription on the device containing more than 3,000 symbols. It was something like a manual for use. The text had information about eclipse colors, celestial body movement, and astrological predictions. It was like a reference list of all the events that happened to the planets in the sky. The Greeks realized that all astronomical bodies in the starry sky moved along the same routes. That is, they had orbits close to the plane of motion of our planet around the sun. Ancient astronomers couldn't calculate the path of their movement, so they created the Antikythera mechanism. This was one of its main functions. The researchers found confirmation of this version in the words of the Roman lawyer Cicero. In one of his quotes, there was a mention of a computing machine created by mathematician Archimedes. According to Cicero,
The machine could depict the movement of 5 stars called wanderers. At that time, people called celestial bodies that way. Archimedes had lived before the Antikythera mechanism was invented, but perhaps he created the drawings that became the basis of the device. The mechanism worked, and when you turned the handle on it, it rotated the gears in the front and rear parts of the device. And then, the dial showed you the direction of movement of space objects. Besides, the machine had an astronomical calendar inside and tracked the time of sporting events, such as the Olympic Games, and also helped to calculate the exact time of the eclipse. Apparently, the Antikythera mechanism was something like a powerful organizer used by scientists or wealthy citizens of Greece. But what is most unusual is that its creator probably installed the function that changed the observation properties depending on the observer's location. This means that ancient astronomers had to enter different coordinates in different areas for the correct result. NASA computers can do all these things today. These expensive multi-million-dollar devices work with electricity, chips, processors, and thousands of other things. And the ancient Greeks achieved the same result 2,000 years ago with the help of this small device. This changes the idea of the technologies of ancient Greece. People of that time had plumbing and used steam to control some equipment. They were developed, but no one expected them to go so far. Archaeologists were sure that people of ancient times used giant rough gears to operate windmills. And now, it turns out that they could create small and complex mechanisms that modern scientists couldn't figure out for 100 years. Divers continue to study the seabed where the Antikythera mechanism was found. They have already found other items, such as nails from the ship and a bronze ring. Such underwater excavations are dangerous and complicated, so the research takes a long time. Experts think that the Antikythera mechanism was not a single copy. Perhaps the ancient Greeks made the same or similar machines. Maybe they're hidden somewhere or were melted down to create something else. In those days, bronze was a costly metal, so when ancient astronomical computers broke down, people could melt them and sell the metal. Some researchers refer to the Antikythera mechanism as the ancient prototype of all modern devices. Phones, computers, and tablets have something in common with this machine. By the way, have you heard of the odometer device? This device tracks the distance traveled by car or other means of transport. Nowadays, odometers are digital, but this technology used to be mechanical, and the ancient Greeks were the first to invent it. According to some records, Archimedes might have created it. The Roman later adopted this device for use during long journeys to aid in road construction. The ancient Greeks were the first to attempt to understand the rules of geometry. The Babylonians and Egyptians used geometry in different spheres of life. However, the Greeks decided to use logical reasoning to establish the rules and formulas that we still use today. Archimedes observed that when a solid object was immersed in water, it displaced a mass of water equal to the volume of the object. Have you heard of the Hippocratic Oath? This document is read aloud by all doctors before they start practicing medicine. For us, concepts such as confidentiality between a doctor and a patient seem commonplace, as well as a doctor's duty to always try to cure and save people's lives. But all of this was invented by ancient Greek Hippocrates. In addition to the famous oath, he was one of the first to make a scientific leap in medicine. In ancient times, people viewed illnesses as punishment for bad deeds. But Hippocrates discovered that diseases were natural and that the human body could react differently to them. This may seem obvious now, but the ancient Greeks reached this conclusion in 460 BCE. Aristotle was the first to suggest that our planet is a sphere, and thanks to him, we enjoy movies, TV series, and performances. The ancient Greeks invented theater in the form we know it today. Aristotle wrote the first rules of drama in history, which guide directors and screenwriters on how to keep the viewer's attention. Greek writers created plays in various genres, including tragedies, satires, and comedies. All of this contributed to the formation of Western culture, and that's why many directors enjoy staging ancient plays. And this is only a small part of what the Greeks invented. Therefore, it's quite logical that they were able to create the Antikythera mechanism.
Now here's a tip. Next time your camera flickers to something weird, go check the device itself before creating a ticket for tech support. Otherwise, you may end up like this Redditor did. The ticket said that the camera flickered to a fuzzy brown image often, but it was just a bird that chose the camera as a place to chill. Another Redditor shared an image of something that even the mightiest tech support won't fix. Yup, seems like someone didn't change the toner the right way, and the whole room got completely covered by ink. I guess it's easier to burn down the whole place than to clean it. Now, you may think this is some kind of a spaghetti disaster, but it's not. It's just a hospital server room. Many users say it's a common thing for hospitals, so why take it down if it works just fine? It's not that complicated to set up wireless speakers, right? Then I don't really understand how this could have happened. I have two options. It was either their first day doing this work, or they wanted to play music for Australia. Now, candles are cool for romantic dinners and stuff, but it turns out they might be pretty dangerous at work. A Redditor shared a pic of how a candle can turn the working place into a disaster instead of cozying it up. Okay, this one's not that bad, but it looks kind of gross. First off, you gotta clean your screen every now and then. Plus, make sure your screen you have is actually a touchscreen. Faster doesn't necessarily mean better. A Redditor shared a photo of how their coworker was eager to unpack a new mouse. Sorry, no tech support can fix it. Guess they'll have to grab a new mouse and be more patient unpacking it. One more mouse disaster here. This user shared a story of how their friend wanted to make the mouse lighter, so they drilled a bunch of holes and sanded the whole thing down. This looks like a bit of cheese, though. Huh? Logic found. Mouse, cheese, you know. This Redditor shared a photo of how their grandpa thought a jack was a screw hole, and he actually did insert a screw there. So, many questions, but no answers. Now, you might say, hey, but their grandpa is from the older generation. But I guess the younger generation would wonder what a jack is, too. I mean, Bluetooth headphones have completely replaced good old wired ones. Hey, there's a slight burning smell. Look here. It seems that something's a bit wrong with the battery. I guess this is exactly what the customer said when they asked for some support with their laptop. Hey, I don't really think it's a big deal. Tech support will just need to replace the battery. Plus, no need to do the double work, as the battery section is already open. In case it doesn't work, probably reinstalling Windows will do the trick. A computer mouse can get quite gross over time with all the buildup, like we all eat cookies and touch the mouse with greasy Cheetos hands. Please just don't clean it as this Redditor did. At first, their idea may seem brilliant. Why not use lemonade to clean it? Like, any lemonade has acidity, and it may help dissolve the buildup. Yeah, it may have the needed acidity, but it also contains a lot of sugar. Guess who loves sugar? Ants. So by cleaning your mouse like this, you'll surely turn it into an ant trap. Could work in case you want to get rid of them, but for cleaning the mouse, you'd rather use some professional detergents. Another fun ticket from tech support. Someone wanted to get a new adapter as their MacBook wouldn't charge. Thing is, loose staples are irresistible to a MagSafe port. Yeah, I know what you want to say, MacBooks don't have MagSafe ports anymore. But these things have aged well, so yeah, if you still own one, and it won't charge, just double-check the port. There might be some foreign metal object, or maybe a mouse. Hey, made you look. Hey, why is the back cover not going on? I guess it's some small issue with the battery. If there was a competition between the craziest chargers ever, we'd have the winner right now. This unprecedented iPhone charger looks like someone followed the craziest TikTok life hacks and designed their own makeshift charger. I wonder how many volts there are. Remember, it's really important to follow the volts recommendations the manufacturer gives. Like, if it says you gotta have a 5-volt charger, use it. If you use a 100-volt charger instead, it won't charge your device 20 times faster, it'll just ruin the battery. Now, some failures are just hilarious. Look at this photo. Someone installed the carbon monoxide detector right inside the wall. Was it the person was so strong to manage to insert it this way? Or was it a softish wall that let them do that? We're not likely to have an answer to this question. Now, cats are cats. They don't care how expensive your laptop is. If they want to play, they will. Yeah, this screen looks sort of ruined now, but there must be a way to polish it somehow. I have no explanation for this photo. It looks like their tech support had so much stuff to do with all those wires that the team required a toilet to make the most of their working time. Hey, there's another room of that kind. It's actually a secondary server room, but it's also used as toilet paper storage. These two rooms are meant for each other. Hey, remember to wipe those discs. A Redditor shared a story that happened to them at work. A client came to check what was wrong with their PC. They said, "I don't know what happened, but the PC won't turn on." The tech support was left pretty shocked. I mean, that client must have noticed the loud explosion sound and smoke floating around the office. Alright, this one is just a kind reminder to clean your PC from time to time. And you better do that professionally and ask specialists to help you. This is especially valid for pet owners. Look here, there seems to be a whole dog here. I mean, there's that much of dog hair. This PC was on the brink of passing away. Now look at this one. Client, "Hey, my receipts printer doesn't work. Any idea why that is?" Tech support was left speechless. Look how rusty this is. But on the bright side, it's worked like this for years. This is what I call quality. Now, even the simplest things may be done in the wrong way. A Redditor showed a fun pic of an epic AC fail. Someone installed it not inside but outside the house. I only have one idea. This person just probably wanted to change the weather and make the summer hot days a bit fresher too. It's too much work for a simple AC though. There are many cool things we use today, like hand dryers. They save paper, plus they're fast and very convenient. What can go wrong, you might ask? Well, this Redditor showed what can go wrong. The only explanation I have is that this is not intended for people, but for the table. Just kidding. I really don't have any solid explanation for why the hand dryer is placed in such a weird way. One more fantastic example of how even the simplest things may be failed with a loud bang. Like here, instead of hiding the wires, they decided to drill a hole into a stone wall and place it like this. Well, that's neat. The last, but not the least. Thermoplate is cool and helps a lot, but don't overdo it. Otherwise, it will end up looking like that. How much thermal paste do you want? Yes, much. Now, as of today, there are around 400 million monthly active users hanging out inside virtual worlds. Doesn't feel all that crowded, but hey, I live on the other side of your screen. So, the sci-fi future we've been waiting for is already here. But technology is not all about fun and games. It's also here to make our lives easier. And these inventions are proof of that. So, buckle up as I teleport you to the near future and show you what one day will look like. You get out of your bed and head to the kitchen for breakfast, or to your smart fridge to be more precise. The world's biggest tech and appliance companies have been working on developing fridges with some mind-blowing features for quite some time now. These can scan the contents stored inside of them, keeping track of what items you're running low on. Their built-in touchscreens will display lots of information for you, from your daily schedule to a slideshow of family photos. Just like any other wireless device you have, you'll be able to connect them to your home's Wi-Fi. Once they are connected to the internet, they can interact with other connected devices in your home. So, you'll even be able to move the show that you were watching in the living room to the touchscreen of your smart fridge and not miss that big twist. This screen will also let you know when and what items you need to reorder, as well as recommend recipes based on the ingredients you already have inside the fridge. The system behind these new and improved fridges will rely on the barcode or the radio frequency identification tags your food packaging will have. These are actually already being used by food manufacturers to manage stock and shipping. By scanning the tags or the barcodes, your fridge can access details such as expiration dates to keep an accurate inventory of your food. And just in case you're wondering how much having a fridge that sends you a shopping list will cost you, it'll range somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000. Your smart fridge warns that the coffee cream is expired. Oops, guess it's time to head to the store. Now, don't worry about searching for your wallet though. You will need neither cash nor a credit card to buy stuff. This will be possible all thanks to the tiny microchips which can be implanted into your hand. Don't get too excited though, one chip won't turn you into a cool cyborg or anything. This chip technology actually already exists in digital house keys, e-tickets, and bank cards. What will make them different now is that once the implantation process is complete, they will get linked to all of your online accounts. This will allow you to open your front door, hop onto the public bus or train, and buy groceries all with a flick of a wrist. You come home and finally have your morning coffee, with cream. Now it's time to actually make yourself something to eat. Such a bore. Or maybe not, thanks to your cyber chef. In 2015, a robotics company shook the culinary world when they presented their new invention, a robot that uses giant hands to cook meals. This master chef comes pre-programmed with thousands of recipes from world-class human chefs, so you won't need to Google how to make the perfect pie crust anymore. The robot that's named Molly will do everything from pour to stir, but unfortunately, it can't prepare ingredients for the recipes it's going to make. At least, not yet. Maybe I've seen too many movies, but it's probably not such a great idea to give a robot a knife anyway, right? However, if you prepare the ingredients yourself and put them inside special containers, it will recognize the ones it's supposed to use. Once it's done preparing food, it will clean up surfaces too. Finally, your own busboy. Molly can plan and adapt its recipes according to your diet preferences and calorie intake limits. However, you can also add your own recipes to its list through the touchscreen, and it can recreate your grandma's casserole with 100% accuracy for you. But you know what? I bet you can hire a personal chef for yourself, and the amount you will pay to get Molly, which is $340,000. And the best part is, they can even prepare the ingredients for you. Now, as the clock strikes noon, you'll receive a text message from your mom. She reminds you about her visit, which will be in an hour. You totally forgot about that. Well, you take a look around your house and realize that you haven't been doing any cleaning for quite some time. But she can't see it like this. This is where super suits might come in handy. The Guardian Exo is a rechargeable, battery-powered, and mechanical full-body exoskeleton that's designed to make you faster and stronger. Using its electrical motors and a state-of-the-art set of 100 ultra-precise body sensors, it combines human intelligence, instinct, and judgment with the endurance and precision of machines. It can increase your strength and allow you to lift up to 200 pounds of weight like you're lifting a feather, and it won't restrict your movement at all. So you can clean under your sofa, bed, or that smart refrigerator pretty easily and quickly before your mom arrives. Talk about productivity. But don't get your hopes up too much. It doesn't have the technology to allow you to stop buses like Superman or jump over buildings like Neo. So it's not really suited to saving the world. But it sure can be a lifesaver if you're moving into a new house. What's great about it is that you can actually get your hands on it now. That is, if you have $100,000 per year to pay its rent. Wow, you finished cleaning so fast that you still got some time left before mommy comes home. Might as well go for a quick run. But thanks to your suit, you didn't burn that many calories while cleaning. So grab your futuristic sci-fi sneakers and let's head out. This creature-like footwear called the Cryptide Sneaker is a fully 3D printed shoe. It's made out of only one material, which is a special polymer called thermoplastic elastomer. This material varies in thickness or thinness in different places, meaning while specific parts of the sneaker become stiffer, the others will remain soft and flexible. So it is ergonomic and comfortable, in addition to being easy and fast to manufacture. The whole shoe can be printed out in one go, and it doesn't require any gluing or stitching. And the best part is, its shape can be adapted to your own foot. The only thing needed for that is your foot's 3D scan. Well, you head back home just in time to greet your mom. She wants the two of you to spend a nice, quiet afternoon together, reading or watching something. You think that's a great idea, and you show your new favorite book to her. She goes through the pages, but you notice she's having a hard time reading the words, squinting her eyes. If only I could zoom into the book pages like I can do with your Instagram photos, she says. Hey, you have just the thing she needs. In 2019, a team of researchers created a pair of contact lenses that zoom in when you blink twice. Each eye movement you make gives distinct electrical signals. The zoom-in contact lenses contain electrodes that can track these signals and respond accordingly. The polymers that they're made of expand when a certain electrical current is applied. So, when you blink twice, the lenses increase their magnification and make everything appear 32% larger for you. However, it looks like you'll have to wait a bit longer to start wearing them. The researchers are still trying to figure out how to make them out of the material regular contacts are made of, so they'll be safer for everyday use. Now, aside from the zoom-in only lenses though, other researchers have been working on creating what they call smart lenses as well. These will have nearly invisible micro-LED displays smaller than a grain of sand, tiny navigation sensors, image sensors, and almost microscopic batteries. They'll help guide you through new cities, give you information about the buildings and the people. Wow, traveling made easy. Aren't you glad you have that trust fund to pay for all this? Wait, no trust fund? Well, you can still have Instagram. They say, whoever they are, the future is just around the corner. Well, no, the future is already here. And these cool new inventions are here to prove it. Who knows? They might just help save you as well as the planet. Now, this robot is unstoppable. And don't worry, it's not going to take over the world or anything. Probably. The thing you are looking at is called a vine robot. What distinguishes it from other soft robots is that it's super tenacious when it comes to making it through difficult terrains and tight spaces, which makes it appropriate for missions like search and rescue. The idea for this device actually came from real vines. The inventors were inspired by how a vine moves and grows, so they started thinking about ways they could replicate the same movement robotically. Eventually, they came up with a simple and elegant design that doesn't require any expensive materials. All they needed was some airtight tubing. Remember the water wiggle toys? I do. The mechanism of their soft robot acts just like that. Then, to make it grow out from the tip, they used compressed air. And just like that, the basics of their invention were ready. It's so easy that you can build one yourself in as little as a minute. Aside from being easy to replicate, their design comes with other advantages as well. It can enter gaps 1/4 of its original size. Sticky surfaces and sharp objects don't really affect it as long as the air pressure is continued to be applied. The inventors, of course, have upgraded their design and created different versions so that the robot will be able to perform various tasks. For example, they added a camera to the robot's tip, which made it ideal for things like archaeology. And the robot was even taken to the Andes Mountains of Peru to investigate some very narrow shafts underneath an archaeological site, and was able to explore 3 of the tunnels successfully. However, the use of Vine robots will not be limited to underground. It might be possible to use them for space exploration as well. When blown into something like sand, compressed air fluidizes. In return, this allows the Vine robot to burrow into granular materials. So, NASA can use it to study the surfaces of other planets. But it has one more application. A miniature version of Vine robots can potentially be used for medical procedures, such as intubation too, making the process faster and easier. Talk about being multifunctional. Can you think of anything else it can be used for? Now, these capsules are not for swallowing. Tiny houses and van life have been the hype for quite some time now. But vans require gas, and tiny houses require some sort of infrastructure. Eco-capsules, on the other hand, require nothing. These egg-shaped micro-units are 100% self-sustainable living pods that give you the freedom to place them wherever you like and to live off-grid without causing any harm to nature. If all non-renewable energy sources were to end today, you could still be able to live the life you're used to in the eco-capsules for up to several months. So, no need to go all survivor mode immediately. Eco-capsules can also be used as scientific research stations or even remote hotel rooms. They are 88 square feet and are equipped with a smart home system. They come with sleeping space for two, a kitchenette, shower and toilet, storage space, and even electrical outlets. They create their own electricity using a combination of a wind turbine up on a telescopic pole and a roof that is lined with solar panels. Their unique shape allows them to collect rainwater. The rainwater that falls on their surface is gathered in their tanks, where it is then filtered and becomes ready for use. In case there are no rainfalls for a while, the tanks can still be filled from any water source, such as a lake or a river. And in terms of drinking water, additional filters are installed directly on the faucets. The greatest thing about eco-capsules is that they have almost zero emissions and zero ecological footprint. So every eco-capsule inhabitant will basically be taking part in saving the world while they're living in it. This magnetic slime robot may look disgusting and frightening, but it definitely is game-changing. The blob-like robot is made of a water-soluble synthetic polymer, borax, and magnet particles. It is a non-Newtonian fluid that has viscoelastic properties, which means it can act both as a liquid and a solid depending on the level of pressure that's being applied to it. Accordingly, when you touch it quickly, it acts as if it's solid, and when you touch it gently and slowly, it acts as if it's a liquid. Hey, turn the pressure on me and I melt into a puddle, so I'm familiar with this. The tiny particles of magnets within the slime give it the unique ability to move. They can be controlled to make the robot travel, rotate, or form different shapes, such as a C or an O. There's no limit to which direction it can move, and from the looks of it, nothing can stop it from going. It can navigate passages that are as tiny as 0.06 of an inch, move around objects, and reach speeds of 1.2 inches per second. What's even more groundbreaking is that it can stretch 7 times up to its original length, grab onto multiple things simultaneously, and even extend tentacles in different directions. It's shown to be able to conduct electricity and pull wires together, which gives it the capacity to switch and repair circuits. In the future, the creators of the slime hope that it can be used for medical procedures, such as retrieving objects from the digestive system that are swallowed by accident. Sorry, I can't help myself. In addition, if the swallowed object is something toxic, like a small battery, the slime can also hypothetically be used to wrap around it and prevent toxic electrolytes from leaking out into the body. However, the magnetic particles inside the slime are actually toxic themselves, but the researchers have coated them with silica to make the robot safe for this hypothetical application. The coolest thing about the slime robot is the fact that it is self-healing. That means it can bring itself back together even if it is chopped apart, without the help of external sources, and it can maintain its electrical capabilities after healing too. These all sound like some science fiction stuff, but you can relax since the slime is not sentient, at least for now. This is the transparency we all need. When you think of solar panels, you immediately picture large black squares that are mounted on rooftops, right? Well, transparent solar panels are here to change that. Solar panels create energy by absorbing sunlight and converting it into electricity. If the material they are made of is transparent, that means the light will completely pass through them. Accordingly, a transparent solar panel used to be something of a contradictory idea. However, in 2014, scientists from Michigan State University were able to come up with a solution to this contradiction and develop a fully transparent luminescent solar collector that can turn any glass sheet or window into a solar cell. These transparent solar concentrators are composed of clear organic salts. They capture the wavelengths of the solar spectrum that are not visible to the human eye, like the ultraviolet and infrared, while allowing the normal visible light to pass through. These captured wavelengths are then guided to the edges of the cell, where thin strips of conventional solar cells convert them into electricity. The researchers are hoping to make solar energy affordable, therefore widespread. So much so that they are also looking into using transparent solar cells as screens for smartphones or tablets. No more rushing to the charger once you see the 1% on the battery symbol. It's expected that the transparent solar cells will be able to deliver a 10% efficiency once mass production begins. This doesn't appear to be much, but if these panels can be implemented on every window of every home or office building, imagine. They can for sure help to change the future.
Decades ago, no one would ever imagine keeping a stick in their pocket that could hold hundreds of gigabytes. We've come a long way since then, and got used to USBs transferring our files from device to device with ease. In 2000, two major companies developed and sold the first USB flash drives 1.0, which snowballed into USB 2.0, 3.0, Type-C, and so on. Physically, they can endure rough treatment and won't get damaged easily, especially if you get proper protection. By design, USBs are almost perfect. So perfect that you always make the mistake of inserting it in the wrong way. Admit it, the two square holes are used to help the USB secure its position once it's inside the port. It's not strong enough to keep it stuck, but strong enough to do its job. You can protect your USB with proper encryption. This means that if anyone gets their hands on them, they won't be able to read them. Encrypted files end up being scrambled into gibberish of a series of letters and numbers instead of comprehensive words to anyone who tries to read it. The file is only accessible if someone gets their hands on that USB. But if you're using certain online services like messaging or emailing, then encryption is simply not enough. Sure, the person on the other end can't read the contents of the work, but the hosting website can. This is where end-to-end encryption comes in. That means any information that goes in and out is, again, scrambled into gibberish to anyone who is in the way of your traffic, including the hosting service. Cloud storage has taken the world by storm. You can now save everything that's on your desktop to the internet and access that data across multiple devices. All you need is an email and password, and boom, you're safe and have all your files in one place. Cloud storage isn't data floating up in the clouds, but, less excitingly, servers that physically store data. They're like regular computers, just minus the monitors for viewing. These servers take up a lot of money. That's why you normally have to pay for their services. The servers are placed in data centers all around the world where third-party companies manage them. It's like getting remote access to a computer. The servers include a master control server, backup server, and a linked supply of servers operating to maintain a good quality service. The more money you pay, the better the server your data will be stored in. In the realm of computers, you just can't delete something to be gone forever. Whatever file you want to remove is already present in the hard disk as electrical impulses. And, depending on your gadget, it will be disposed of in a recycle bin or the garbage. That isn't to say that it isn't still there. It simply implies that the file has been moved to a different folder from which you can easily recover it. So, if you're worried about accidentally deleting a crucial document you've been working on for weeks, don't panic. It's not gone for good. But if your device breaks, then all your data is lost. If you own a device that has Windows 10, then you've probably been shutting down thinking that your computer or laptop is completely off. This is not the case. Windows 10 doesn't actually shut down, but goes into a state of hibernation. It keeps your app saved for you to recover. The proper way to shut it down is by resetting it. Windows operating system is known for being user-friendly with all the commands displayed in front of you. But for computer whiz kids, know that you can open the search bar and type CMD for the command prompt. It looks just like a bunch of random characters, but this is where you can achieve a lot with your device. If you don't like the black window, you can always change the color of your suiting. Once you launch the command prompt window, right-click on the title bar and then on Properties. Another window will open which has the option of choosing colors. You can pick the colors you want for the background and text, or fix the opacity for the CMD window. This is easy mode. The real work is typing commands in the window. If you want to look for all your drivers on your Windows 10 device, then type in this command in the window. Don't forget to add spaces. The list of servers will magically pop up on your screen. This is a good way to get to the bottom of your issue, instead of searching for them manually. You can also hide specific folders on your computer through the command prompt by typing this command and pressing Enter. Of course, you'll have to type in the folder you want to hide, and poof, it's gone. The non-tech way of doing this is by opening the Properties pane in the folder and clicking on the checkbox that shows Hidden. While this is indeed the easy way of hiding your folders, it's not the most effective. You can simply write Show Hidden Files and Folders, and every checkbox you check will be visible again. The command prompt isn't all about business. You can try playing a game there to pass the time. Don't expect a AAA kind with realistic graphics and epic gameplay. Type this command and you'll be transported into the game via text. This game will allow you to create characters and engage in this imaginary world. Google Chrome is one of the most popular browsers on the net, but you can also play a text-based game there, just like in the command prompt. First press Ctrl plus Shift plus J to open the console. Then type Text Adventure into the search box. Don't freak out, you just opened the sort of a back end of the page. Next, click on the box that says Console. You'll be greeted with a text that will ask you if you want to play a game. Type Yes, and you'll instantly begin. They'll give you some basic commands which are easy to follow and an opening premise of the journey. If you're looking for something a little more contemporary, then get ready to play some solitaire. No worries, you don't have to type some command to play it. All you need to do is type Solitaire in the search bar, and you're there. You can play the exciting game of solitaire in your web browser. And when you get bored, you can play the classic game Pac-Man. If you're from the generation of the classic bulky phones, then this next game will bring back all those memories of your childhood. Open Google and type Snake, and there you go. When the internet is down, you can play the dinosaur game in your browser window while you're impatiently waiting for the Wi-Fi to come back. This game is very simple. After pressing Enter, you just have to hit the spacebar to jump over obstacles. And at a certain point, you'll have the option to duck down, which will make it even more challenging. Even without Wi-Fi, you can still have a good time. You can pause the game whenever you want by pressing the Alt key or F11. You can just click on your screen to continue the game at any time. Windows 11 has some cool hidden features that are very useful, like adjusting the volume for each individual app. You can go to Settings and click on System. Hit the Sound section. This will bring you to all the sound levels and the master switch. Copy-pasting is so essential to our everyday workflow that Windows 11 decided to take it to a whole other level with clipboard history. This option allows you to save your copied texts in one designated area, which you can access anytime. And the good news is that this option is also available on Windows 10. Just click on the Windows key plus V, and you're good to go. If you have too many windows opened on Windows 11, you can grab the window that you want to keep and shake it. It will minimize all the remaining windows in the background so that you can have a pleasant, productive workflow. Oh wait, it's happening now! There's a pretty cool innovation coming in the world of headphones in 2022. Ta-da! The invisible headphone. Yep, you heard it right. This gadget transmits ultrasound silently through the air. You'll feel like you're wearing a pair of real headphones because while transferring ultrasound, they converge it into audible pockets just outside of your ears. If there are people around you in the same room, they'll only be able to hear something like a whisper of sound. If you're the one wearing the invisible headphones, you'll immerse in three-dimensional spatial audio that gets reduced up to 90% only 3 feet away from you. If you turn your head or move, it'll activate motion sensors in charge of facial recognition. They track your ears to make sure the sound gets to the right spot. When they first appeared, headphones actually had a single earpiece only. In the 1880s, telephone operators used some sort of simplified version of what we know as headphones today. They had to connect it together to a contraption with a mouthpiece that allowed transmission. That contraption itself weighed from 6 to 11 pounds, and an operator would hold it on their shoulder. Inventors never really intended for headphones to be portable, or at least not from the start. In the 1970s, people mostly used headphones to listen to records at home. The big change in headphone history happened only when Sony released the Walkman. People wanted portable headphones to listen to their favorite song even outside of their homes. If you noticed one earbud gets discharged faster than the other, know that you're not the only one dealing with this. It happens because the signal won't be equally strong in both of your earbuds. For instance, if the difference goes up to 15 to 20% after you used both of them for the same amount of time, yeah, something can be wrong. But if the difference is 5%, that's normal because the system rounds out battery data from each of your earbuds. So it depends on where exactly you hold your phone. It could be closer to the left or the right earbud, or how conductive one side of your head is. In a way, it blocks less signal. And generally, your earbuds have individual connections, so each will use energy on a slightly different level. If you use airplane mode while playing mobile games, you won't get ads popping up all the time in the middle of the game. Smart idea! When you turn off the sound on your smartphone, your battery will last longer. The vibration will also waste energy. You'll be able to charge your phone quicker if you use an outlet rather than a USB cable. Sure, it's great if you're in a car or somewhere outside with your laptop available, but you'll definitely have to wait longer. Enter #31# and your phone number if you want to hide it. That way, when you're calling a friend, they won't be able to see who's calling. This way, you'll be able to hide your number only during the current call. When you want to hand your phone to a friend, but at the same time keep all of your messages and the rest of your personal data confidential, go with guest mode. Use 2 fingers to swipe down from the top and go to the user icon on the upper right. You'll see the Add Guest icon. Now you can choose which actions you'll allow performing to your friend or anyone who has your smartphone. Smartphones are so versatile, they'll slowly replace many things at your home. You can even use your phone instead of a TV remote. There are apps that allow you to connect the TV through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Do you ever have to read articles on Wikipedia on a really complicated topic, like how your phone or some other gadgets function? You can translate them into regular human language by choosing the Simple English version. This will get you to an article that's much easier to read and understand. Your smartphone can see infrared light, so if you're about to shoot an infrared beam directly into your phone's camera, there will be a purple beam on your display. This happens because most sensors on digital cameras can sense light frequencies our eyes aren't able to pick up. Wireless chargers are convenient to carry around. Plus, admit it, they look cool. But if your battery is low and you need your phone charged as soon as possible, they aren't as effective and fast as conventional ones. If you have some spare batteries at home, you can use the negative side of the battery as a stylus for your smartphone, be it iPhone or Android. Yep, try scrolling through the apps, navigating through the homepage, drawing in notes. A battery stylus can do pretty much anything that its regular version is capable of. You can also take a pencil and grab some foil lying around. Tear up a small piece of foil to wrap it around the eraser at the top of your pencil. And here it is, you have a new stylus once again. It can be useful when it's really cold outside and you're wearing gloves and can't control your phone without a stylus. The iPad came to the market years after the iPhone had already set the world on fire. But the tablet was the original project the company was working on before the idea of applying such a system to a phone. When you want to edit your home screen, you'll probably grab an app icon and move it wherever you want, right? Then you'll grab another app and move it over, and another one, and so on. It's way more effective to just grab an app and then tap on the rest of the apps you want to move. Then you move it, place it where you want it to be, and everything's done. Even Face ID can't guarantee no one will unlock your phone without your permission. There may be a situation when someone takes away your phone and tries to unlock your Face ID by using your face. If that happens, just say, "Hey Siri, whose phone is this?" Your phone is going to immediately freeze up, so a person holding it will have to use the password to unlock it. If you'd like your iPhone to be a bit louder, go to Settings, then Music. Under EQ, you'll see the option called Late Night. This will make loud sounds quiet, and at the same time, amplify quiet sounds so your phone will have much better sound. If you have AirPods and you lost one, you can track it down with Apple's Find My app. First, you need to make sure your AirPods are linked to your Apple ID. You need to set up the Find My app on your iPhone, and then you'll be able to check the last location of your beloved AirPods on a map. If you lose just one, you can prompt it to play a sound. That way, you can easily find it, at least as long as it's connected to your Bluetooth and is close to some other Apple devices of yours. Simply launch the Find My app, go to the Devices tab, and press the Play Sound option. To save battery life, keep just one bud in and swap them from time to time. If you're using AirPods a lot and your battery often runs low, you'll be able to charge one of them while you're using another. You can use your iPhone to check the status of the battery for both your AirPods and their charging case. The first way is to open the charging case next to your iPhone. It will prompt the phone to display a pop-up where you'll see the remaining battery. Another way is to add the battery widget to the Notification Center's Today panel. This widget will include AirPods only when you're actively using them, or you can check the remaining battery on your Apple Watch. Place your open charging case next to the watch. Now, open Control Center and choose the battery option. You'll see battery stats for your watch, AirPods, and the case. Siri can actually read some of your latest messages for you. It can do it through your AirPods. You can also use a quick voice command to reply to your messages. You don't have to do anything particular to set up such a feature. But if you want to turn it off, go to Settings, click on Siri and Search, and then on Announce Messages. Besides messages, Siri can also announce notifications through your AirPods.
On October 30th, 1759, the inhabitants of the Middle East were jolted awake by an earthquake. Cracks appeared in the walls of their homes, roofs began to crumble. People ran out of their homes and gathered in open areas. But because of strong shocks, they kept losing their footing and falling. A month later, there was another earthquake, but it turned out to be even stronger. Trees broke, houses collapsed, deep cracks appeared in the ground. The disaster lasted for 2 minutes. Oases, roads, and cities were destroyed. Incredibly, Baalbek's ancient buildings withstood earthquakes. Some historians state that this majestic and mysterious place was built during the Roman Empire, but many researchers disagree. Whatever the truth is, the city is one of the main archaeological phenomena of humankind. The most amazing building of Baalbek is the Temple of Jupiter. The inhabitants of the Roman Empire believed that Jupiter held power over lightning and thunder. The building looked like a platform with 54 columns. A massive roof rested on these columns. Today, you can only see 6 70-foot-high columns. Each of them consists of 3 sections and resembles a pencil. The cores of these pencils were made of lead. This made the columns exceptionally strong. Each of these pieces of stone weighed an incredible 80 tons. That's the weight of 35 Ford Explorer SUVs. Look, this is the largest block in the Great Pyramid of Giza. But compared to the blocks from Baalbek, it doesn't even look that impressive. The foundation under the Temple of Jupiter was preserved. That's how specialists figured out it consisted of about 25 monolithic stones, weighing 450 tons each. It means that the blocks from Baalbek weigh almost 4 times more than the blocks from Egypt. There are 3 more enormous limestone blocks in the foundation. They weigh 800 tons each. This is more than twice the weight of a Boeing 747 plane. Ancient builders must have had a hard time carving such giants from a piece of stone. And after that, they also had to pull them to the construction site and lift them to a significant height. Repeating these logistics would probably turn out to be a nightmare for present-day builders. To do this amount of work, they would need modern equipment. But Baalbek's constructors didn't have trucks, cranes with circular saws, or electricity. How did the builders of the past manage to do this? Scientists have a theory that includes ropes, winches, and lever systems. Naturally, the engineers of the past made all the gadgets from wood. Around 3,000 feet away from the ruins of the temple complex, there's a quarry. Archaeologists suppose that's where the stones for the construction were cut. They found a block of limestone there. It seemed to be too large, even for this incredible place. The monolith got called the Stone of the South. It was 65 feet long and 13 feet wide. The ancient builders didn't have time to completely separate it from its mother rock. A group of scientists from Austria estimated that this piece of limestone weighed more than 1,000 tons. That's like 3 Boeing aircraft or 160 African elephants. There was another surprise awaiting the archaeologists near the Stone of the South. It was the second monolith that weighed more than 1,200 tons. But the ancient builders didn't stop at that. They continued to work. In 2014, in the same quarry, German archaeologists unearthed a block that weighed 1,650 tons. No one has figured out yet why people of the past needed a piece of stone that weighed as much as 125 school buses. It's also unclear how they were going to move this giant and why they didn't finish the job. In any case, this third monolith is the largest processed piece of stone in human history. There are more questions than answers. Some researchers believe that people of the past had high-tech equipment. Others don't think so, but are eager to understand how the builders managed to move those stones. There's a huge number of ancient buildings and artifacts on the planet. Lots of them make researchers scratch their heads. Near the Pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, archaeologists have found a network of tunnels. This place is called Serapeum. It contains 24 sarcophagi weighing from 70 to 100 tons. The giant boxes are carved from a single piece of granite and covered with heavy lids. The sarcophagi are perfectly symmetrical. To the touch, their walls are as smooth as glass. Even with the current level of technology, this is very difficult to do. But the ancient Egyptians managed this feat. The Lycurgus cup is a priceless artifact and example of ancient nanotechnology. It's made of glass that can change its color. If you put a source of light in front of the cup, it turns green. If the light is behind the goblet, it becomes deep red. In this case, the figure of Greek king Lycurgus turns pale purple. Scientists understood how this color change worked only at the end of the 20th century. Through microscopes, they saw nanoparticles of silver, gold, and copper. They had been added to the glass matrix. Thanks to this, you can observe a color change called dichroism. Interestingly, the gold and silver were grounded into a fine dust. It's almost impossible to do this by accident. Most likely, the ancient experts knew for sure what they were doing. Bolivia has a curious place called Puma Punku. It looks as if an ancient giant played there with an enormous construction set. And after the game, they forgot to put the pieces back into the box. But there are no giants, and the huge stone blocks were carved by ancient builders over 1,500 years ago. Some of the rocks weigh 100 tons. The blocks were brought to an altitude of almost 13,000 feet above sea level from the quarry 60 miles away from the construction site. There's no forest in that area. This means the builders couldn't use trees to make wooden rollers. The monument belongs to the Inca civilization. Scientists are sure they didn't know anything about wheels. In 1992, the inhabitants of a Chinese village decided to drain a pond. Their ancestors had been using it to wash clothes and catch fish for hundreds of years. They kept pumping the water out for 17 days. At the bottom of the reservoir, they made an unexpected discovery. The villagers saw an entrance to a cave going down to a depth of 100 feet. The incredible find was named the Longyu Caves. Unknown builders carved out 320,000 square feet of galleries. There are separate rooms, bridges, pools, and columns that support the ceiling. The walls of the cave are covered with strange carved lines and patterns. Scientists haven't found any information about who built the caves and why they did it. The construction technology also remains a mystery. Antonio Stradivari lived in Italy in the 18th century. He created musical instruments. More than 600 of his works have survived to this day. 500 of them are violins. One of the instruments was sold at auction for $16 million. The violins made by this master sound clear and deep. Researchers can't understand why Stradivarius instruments produce such unique sounds. Perhaps it's all about the varnish the master used to cover the violins. The answer may also lie in the wood the instruments are made of. In those days, Europe had a cold climate. Because of this, the wood became denser, and the instruments made of it sounded especially pleasing to the ear. In the Indian city of Delhi, there's a 23-foot-high pole. It weighs 6.5 tons and is made of 98% wrought iron. The 1,600-year-old pillar has no signs of rust or decay. Scientists believe that the monument is so well preserved thanks to the dry weather and the chemical composition of the metal. It might be resistant to corrosion. And still, researchers don't know how the blacksmiths managed to make an iron pillar that's not afraid of rust. It seems like a tough feat, even for modern metallurgists. The Al-Nasla rock is divided into two parts by a perfectly straight slit. Each boulder stands on a small pedestal. Some people believe this is the evidence of ancient laser technology. But geologists think the split happened due to the ground shifting or natural vibrations that occurred under the rock. This process led to the appearance of the crack. It had been deepening for thousands of years, and gradually, the natural monument took the form you can see today. So, time travel is real. Actually, you're traveling through time right now. With every second of this video, you move 1 second into the future. But there's one person on Earth who has managed to time travel a little further into the future, 0.02 of a second. And that's not the limit. Meet Sergei Krikalev. He's an astronaut who spent 803 days, 9 hours, and 39 minutes on the International Space Station. That's the key to his time travel. The point is that for two objects, one standing still and the other moving, time flow is different. That is, if we take our planet as one object and the ISS as the other, time on Earth and on the ISS will go differently. But this is not enough to significantly affect time. We need to look at gravity. The larger the object, the stronger its gravitational force. For example, on the Moon, you can jump higher and lift heavier objects than on Earth because the Moon is light. But on Jupiter, you can barely stand on your feet because it's heavy and its gravity is many times stronger. Gravity bends space-time itself. Imagine a trampoline or a stretched sheet. As long as there's nothing on it, space-time is even, and time is the same at all points. But put a heavy object there, and you'll see a pit forming in it. Now imagine putting a heavy object like the planet Earth in the center of the sheet. It weighs 6 tons, plus another 21 zeros. It would bend our sheet so much that time would go differently in the center than in a place where space-time is flat. And the heavier the object, the greater the warp, and the slower time will go there. For example, near the Sun, time goes even slower than on our planet because it's more than 300,000 times heavier. Or take a black hole. Even a small one weighs tens or hundreds of times more than the Sun. And supermassive ones are millions and billions of times heavier. They will bend space-time so much that time near them practically stops. So, our hero, Sergei Krikalev, used this very method of time travel. He just wasn't at the very depth of this time-space vortex, but on the ISS. It's at a point in space-time where the curvature of the sheet isn't that strong. And time went a little faster for him than it does here. Just a little bit. And if you spend enough time there, gradually, you start to overtake the people here on Earth in time. Sergei could have gone much farther in time, but another law of physics prevented him from doing so.
It's all about the unity of space and time. If you're standing, you're only moving in time. But if you run forward, you move both in time and space. The faster you run through space, the slower you move in time. The International Space Station travels around our planet at 4.7 miles per second. This speed slowed down Sergei's movement through time. So in more than 2 years on the ISS, he only traveled in time by 2/100ths of a second. So here's a way that you can time travel. Seat your friend at a table and give them one watch. Put the other one on your arm and start running around the table. If you run fast and long enough, you'll notice how the time on your watch and your friends is different. Voila! You have traveled through time. But there are other ways to get to the future. For the first way, you need to get to a black hole. The closest one is just over 1,000 light years away from our solar system. You jump into your faster-than-light spaceship and arrive there. You need to fly as close as possible to its center, to the very edge of the event horizon. Space-time is so warped here that 1 second can be equal to weeks or even months on Earth. So just wait here for a few minutes. Now, turn the hyperdrives back on and fly away. Of course, you have to be careful here. Black holes are so heavy that nothing can escape their gravitational force. Even light, which is the fastest thing in the universe, can't escape a black hole's embrace. But that's no problem for you, and you're already on your home planet. Wow, it's been decades on Earth while you've been away. There are flying cars, robots, and holograms everywhere. Another option is traveling at the speed of light. You and your friend are standing on the starting line at the stadium, and each of you has a stopwatch. Press start, you run at the speed of light around the Earth a few times and finish. Stop the clock. The time with which you ran your sprint is less than that of your friend who is standing still. But there's a so-called twin paradox that scientists are still racking their brains over. It's all about what to take as a reference point. If the center of the coordinate system is a person standing still, and the other is running at the speed of light, then the runner's clock will lag after the run, because they were moving not only in time, but also in space, remember? But if you take the runner as the reference point, it was the static person who was in motion relative to them. And then the static person's clock would have to be behind. So as a result of the experiment, both guys' clocks, the runner and the static guy, would show the same time. This is the twin paradox. Another way to cheat the laws of physics and stop the flow of time is to get into the plank position. Then time just stops for you. Okay, just kidding. Assuming that traveling back in time is possible, there's a whole bunch of problems and paradoxes. For example, at 12 p.m., you're engaged in building a time machine. At 12:30, you finish building it. And then, at 1 p.m., you enter it for one purpose: to prevent you from building the time machine yourself. Then you go back in time at 12:20, when the time machine is almost finished, and break one of its details so that it can't be built to start with. But if your younger version couldn't build a time machine, then there's no way that you could get to the past either, right? Or what if you did build a time machine and went back in time to your father when he was on a date with your mom? You ruin their date and they break up. In this case, your birth would have been impossible. But if you hadn't been born, you would never have built a time machine and gone back in time to ruin your daddy's date. And then nothing would have interfered with your birth. Wow, things are getting a little too complicated. Okay, there are simpler ways to travel through time. For example, biological ones. I'm talking about freezing. If you freeze your body, you will move through time with the rest of the world, but you'll be asleep the whole time. And when you wake up, you'll be in the future. By the way, animals that hibernate in winter, like bears, are time travelers. They simply skip the hungry winter seasons. But there's one problem with that. When we freeze, the water in our cells and tissues turns to ice, and as a consequence, they feel dehydrated, like in a desert. This can be avoided by using protective chemicals. But the hardest part is the awakening. Our scientists can't safely unfreeze a living organism. So for now, freezing your body is a one-way ticket. But we have hope that scientists of the future will find a way to avoid damaging cells and tissues. Then, they'll open refrigerators with people and wake up a whole bunch of time travelers. And that's a pretty expensive adventure. Freezing an entire body can cost $200,000 or more. But many people believe that time travel is already real, and some time travelers have been caught in photographs or camera footage. For example, this photo from 1941. There are men in suits and women in elegant hats, and among them, this guy in futuristic glasses and hoodie. Or this video, where you can see a woman in the background, talking on her cell phone. Wow, that was about a century ago, and back then, no one could imagine what a cell phone was. Well, these facts can be easily explained. The man in the photo is wearing glasses that were made back in 1920, and the t-shirt and hoodie also already existed at that time. And the woman talking on the cell phone is actually holding an acousticon in her hand. It's kind of a hearing aid, one of the first of its kind. So we can say one thing for sure: time travel remains just a dream for all people. Except Sergei Krikalev, who was able to trick the laws of physics and be 0.02 of a second ahead of all the people on Earth.
If you like playing video games, you know how important it is to be immersed in the story. Whether it's through the graphics, the sounds, or the dialogue, the more the game draws you in, the better the experience is. What if I told you that soon enough you could purchase a gadget that literally allows you to feel the game you're playing? It's in the form of a vest, and it would allow you to have various sensations like rain, wind, fire, and even experience damage. More so, the sensations are spatialized, meaning if you look up, you'll only feel raindrops on your chest. Paired with VR glasses, this combo sounds like the future of video games. We might be able to directly use the sun's power to charge your phones too. There are two types of such gadgets: those that you simply connect to your phone and place in direct sunlight. Then there's the more advanced type, which also features a battery. You can leave it to charge and then use its energy whenever you need to. If you've been on a social media cleanse recently, you've probably missed the tiny AI robot that has taken over the internet. It became so popular because there are 1,000 different ways in which it can interact with you. It can help tune into your favorite music, play online games with you, and even cheer you up when you're down. Not to mention, it can help with household chores. This tiny robot can double up as an alarm clock. It can turn off the lights if you set a certain bedtime, or even take your picture if you ask him to. All the while moving independently and making decisions of his own. Not to mention, he can even get annoyed at you if he's feeling fussy. Fidget spinners used to be all the rave when it came to stress relief a little while back. Well, there's a brand new gadget out there that's like a holographic fidget spinner. This coin can spin smoothly for up to 12 minutes while showing mesmerizing pictures of galaxies. It uses real-life footage to display some of the best images in our universe. Not only that, but it's also a cool object to place on your desk whenever you don't feel like using it. Travel a lot? You might be interested in this next-level travel pillow. It's designed in the shape of a loop and works best for people traveling long distances. Because it's made of sensitive memory foam, it helps to better support your chin while you sleep. Not to mention, you can control the temperature of the pillow, so you'll never feel too hot while wearing it. Travel water bottles are a nice way to stay hydrated when traveling or working out, but cleaning them can be a burden. After a while, most water bottles become too stinky or stained to be used anymore. One cool concept to help with this hassle is a self-cleaning water bottle. That's because it has built-in elements that purify the water and get rid of the bad smells. Thanks to the layers it has inside, you can even gather water from rivers and enjoy it after it's been filtered by the techie bottle. Lastly, it's also insulated to help keep your beverages the desired temperature and cleans itself often, like every 2 hours. Not all of us have houses with a great view, but this futuristic gadget can help a bit if you're yearning for beautiful city lights at your window. That's because this gadget of the future can let you customize your own view. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of the ocean waves or mountain peaks, you can have them both. You can also connect it to your smartphone and replay memories of your own. Calling out all Jetsons fans, flying cars may be closer to us than we imagine. Firstly, because our standard roads are getting pretty crowded with each passing year, it's reasonable to think we'll soon need to look into other means of transportation. There are a lot of flying car concepts out there too. Some look like giant drones, some like smaller airplanes, while others simply look like cars with wings. Other types of flying transportation might be available soon too, like jetpacks. When it was first introduced to the tech market, the touchscreen was revolutionary. But these days, it seems we're getting closer to gesture-based computing. It means simply using your hands to dictate to your computer what to do without having to use a screen, a mouse, or a pad. A lot of researchers and scientists are already developing innovative technologies on the subject, like those at the MIT Media Lab that recently introduced a digital display featuring a pin screen. This pin screen is simply a sheet of dull pins that takes the shape of a 3D object when pressed against it. Until then, some devices do allow us to use our voices to perform certain activities. On the same note, our phones might become obsolete too, since it seems that wearable screens are already on their way. Sure, we might be enjoying foldable phones now, but the future does look to be screenless. This technology involves using projectors that are also touch capable. You might be able to project your screen directly onto your clothes or hands, but who's to say we couldn't have something implanted directly into our skin to make it wearable also? Imagine walking barefoot without damaging your feet. It's possible these days, you'll just need these weird-looking pairs of shoes. They look like they're made out of chainmail, but they don't make any noise and won't rust in the future. They also provide insulation and don't make any metallic noises when walking in them. 3D printers are being used for all sorts of technologies these days, but can you imagine being able to also 3D print food? For now, food 3D printing is limited to certain textures and consistencies like purees, mousses, or ganache. Also, for now, 3D food printers don't actually cook the food, they just assemble it. Nevertheless, there are a lot of high-end restaurants out there that are already experimenting with food 3D printing. And speaking of meals of the future, we might soon be introduced to a fridge that orders food for us. It scans its containing bottles and jars and sends a list of groceries to your local e-market, so you'll never be out of your favorite snacks. More so, it lets you know if something's gone bad and you need to take a trip to the garbage disposal bin too. It's way better for our eating habits also. Most people say they're tempted to buy unhealthy food because they go to the store on an empty stomach. Since you won't be going shopping at all and only have specific items delivered to you, your pants might soon start to fit better as well. Continuing the list of smart household items, you might be soon introduced to the toothbrush that can chat with your dentist. Sure, that feels a bit like a betrayal, but if it can help with preventing cavities or plaque buildup, why not? We already have smart toothbrushes on the market with built-in sensors that check if you're washing your teeth correctly, so you shouldn't be surprised if they add this feature in the future too. On that same note, owning smart mirrors may soon be the first step in taking care of our health. Just by taking a quick look in the mirror, this futuristic gadget can perform a quick scan to see if you're looking pale or have really bad dark circles. Based on these cues, it can suggest underlying problems or inform you when it's time to go see a specialist. Robotic exoskeletons are already available for some workers to give them extra strength and abilities. But in the future, they might also be useful for those who have problems with walking, for example. Sure, we do have some simpler technologies for now, but providing people with their full range of motion with this technology might soon be available. One really creative company has been experimenting with ways to use sand for creating energy and turn it into batteries. Since sand can heat up to 930 degrees Fahrenheit, it can be used to store energy. When needed, it can be discharged and warm the water and environment.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more,